It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Stacey Higginbotham's here, Jeff Jarvis, Ant Pruitt. Coming up, can you help Twitter decide who to ban? It's not as easy as you think. How a 9-year-old got rich on YouTube, and Mark Zuckerberg throws the internet to the wolves. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 604, recorded Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. Stuck in the Canal. This Week in Google is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Expand your skills or launch yourself into a career with IT. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. Use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by Uber for Business. Right now, for a limited time, receive a $50 voucher when you create your first vouchers campaign and spend $200. Go to uber.com/twig to learn more. And by Forward Networks. Forward Networks reduces business risk by revolutionizing the way large networks are managed. Their advanced software delivers a digital twin of the network, a completely accurate mathematical model in software. Get a demo at forwardnetworks.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show we cover the Google verse, which includes, at least in my view, the Twitterverse, the Facebookverse, the journalism verse, and all the other verses. Here's the man who is the master of verse, Mr. Jeff Jarvis.
Pardon me, I'm getting ready for the show today.
Wow, he's got a book called Moral Panics. If you didn't write it, they picked the wrong person. He's the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Who wrote Moral Panics?
It's one of the classic texts. Eric Good and Nachman Ben Yehuda.
Wow. I didn't realize there was a whole book dedicated to moral panic.
Oh, I've got a whole shelf here on it. Yeah, I'm researching. Watch out, world.
Also with us, Ant Pruitt from Hands On Photography. Good to see you, Ant. Moral. You have the book, Jeff, but he's got
I'm his cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moral Panic title card.
How you doing, Mr. Laporte?
I am great. How are you?
Unbelievable as always, sir.
New feature on Medium and the debugger column, a Ant Pruitt bit on how to make yourself look good. No. How to double yourself.
Close.
Double
it's
your
more
pleasure.
About cloning yourself, just using your smartphone and a smartphone app, all for free. High-end photography trick right there on your phone.
And, of course, you can see the video at Hands On Photography.
That's right.
Show. Also with us, I'm already feeling sad because she won't be with us next week, Stacey Higginbotham.
Why not?
Stacey on IoT.
Wait a minute.
Not? She abandons us?
She's abandoning us.
I have to take my daughter to the neurologist.
Oh,
but I'll be
priorities.
back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I hope it's nothing serious.
Oh, no, she has migraines like me. I gave her migraines.
She got it from Mom.
I know. I'm such a jerk.
So my daughter was having these weird things, but they weren't headaches, but they were weird spells. And I took her to the neurologist, even though she's 29. She wanted me to come along, so I said, okay. And the neurologist said, oh, yeah, you're having migraine. She said, the day before, do you have these symptoms? She said, yeah. She said, yeah, that's a migraine. She said, but I thought a migraine had to be a headache. She said, no, it doesn't, not necessarily. And then I said, wait a minute. All my life I've been having migraines. I just didn't know I called them sick headaches. I had no idea what they were. So apparently I gave them to my daughter. So it's a nice kind of
You're both jerks.
Nice work.
Oh, we're both migraine buddies? I'm sorry, Leo.
I haven't had them in a while. In fact, the doctor said, and I know you've tried every remedy in the book, but she said, you try CoQ10 and magnesium.
Yep.
And I've been taking that forever for other reasons. And apparently that's fixed it. So I haven't had a headache like that in a long time. But I used to get these come on, and then I would take a few Advil, usually 4, and immediately go to bed, and I would wake up a few hours later fine. And I thought they were just stress headaches or something like that. But she said, no, those are probably migraines as well.
You gave it to your kids. I gave my kids a big nose.
Well, I also gave them that. I gave them many, many, many things.
I got to informally meet your daughter on Instagram here recently. She shared something on her Instagram that I just thought was
that's
lovely
nice.
and quite inspirational.
Oh, that's nice.
That was
Cool.
my first time really interacting with her, but what she shared, it was heartwarming.
Oh, I'm so glad. Something
For a
about
second there.
what a dick her dad is, something like that. Yeah, I know.
I thought you were going to say you saw my daughter on Instagram and she's
Oh,
not
no,
allowed to be on there. So I was going to be like,
How
what
old's
the-
how old's your daughter? How old's your daughter?
She's 14.
How old will she have to be before you let her on Instagram?
Honestly, she could do it now if I could see her posts, as long as I can follow her, but she doesn't really have an interest. So she's
After our story from last week about how middle-aged men can no longer contact underage children on Instagram,
Yeah.
I don't blame you one cotton picking bit.
no, she still wants to be a spy. Remember, y'all? So she's
Good.
keeping her face on
She's
Instagram.
youthful. So Jeff, actually, I might as well start with this. Sent along this tweet about TikTok and how easy it is. We were talking over the weekend about why the youngs love TikTok, and what I didn't know is that a lot of what people do in TikTok is all done in camera. That my son, who does a great TikTok channel, he does cooking on TikTok.
Oh,
Yeah, in fact, I'll show you the link. It's sodium_deficiency. I have no idea
Interesting.
what the youths these days, and it's hard to find him because he doesn't have his picture on it. Look, it's so hard to find. I got a 404. Wait a minute, let me type it right.
Your son's hiding from you.
He has a picture of somebody else, not his picture. But so he does all these food things on TikTok. And I'm like, why don't you ever cook these for me? Oh my God. This is amazing. I had no idea. He learned everything he learned on YouTube. So there he is. So then I asked him.
Go ahead, Hank.
Go ahead, Hank. You go, Hank. So then I asked him, so how do you edit? He says, well, I edited in Premiere because he's learned how to edit right in the old days. But look at this. This is a TikToker. I don't know I don't know what her name is. So Eden,
is it there?
Eden Harvs, Harvz. But she's going to show us how they edit in camera. You can do all this stuff in TikTok. And if you've ever seen TikTok.
My trick also is to hold down the red button and let go when you want to stop filming. That is the best way to get it slick. Okay, let's go.
So and we call that edit in camera, right? Where
Yes, there are some things you can do in camera as far as a transition
Yeah,
standpoint.
but watch this. This blew me away. Now you tell me if you could do this in your camera. So she's playing music. And here's one thing that's really cool is TikTok pauses the music, so you're
That's
matching the music as you do it when you don't record. So that makes it a lot easier to do that.
Yeah,
part.
that's TikTok magic there.
What she's doing with a hand. Watch this. So she's just moving the camera around. She's doing a face wipe and stuff like that. But somehow TikTok is, I guess they're putting in transitions or something. I don't know.
You'll see.
Watch the final version because I don't
The
understand how you
music
get from
definitely
what
sounds
she's.
like
It's
the
Maya he,
music
Maya
sounds
ha,
like TikTok magic.
It sounds
not
like something they're
necessarily
doing in the
camera
app.
magic.
Now
Here we go.
watch.
Right.
So she's showing it that as she made it. See how she's doing a wipe with her hand? And
Right.
TikTok is somehow maybe
Yeah,
that is
that's
just
all TikTok.
it's like she takes her head off. That's amazing.
That's beautiful.
Isn't
That's
it?
beautiful
Isn't
work.
that amazing?
That's
She's
that's
good.
TikTok magic there because you can do in-camera transitions. So a lot of cinematographers do it pretty commonly, but they also do that with the idea knowing that it's going to go into Premiere or Resolve, and they're able to sync those cuts up
Right.
to where it looks the way it did. Right there, TikTok is just using AI and saying, "Hey, this is looking like a good cut point." And I didn't even.
Well,
know
but I
that
think
was
she kind
happening.
of did
That's
it though.
cool.
She might have done it all in camera. I don't know.
She did it, I think, just by hitting it off. Then she
By
then she
turning
goes,
off at exactly the moment when her hand.
If she gives it the exact point that it needs to transition, I think the app is smart enough to know this is a cut point.
Right.
I think Instagram is trying to get along that same path with Reels. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I have been trying recently.
Neil, give her a plug. What's her account?
Oh, I'll have to look it up again. It was Eden, EDEN.
It looked great.
Yeah. Well, and this is, by the way, I mean, TikTok, I have to say, there are people, a lot of it's just dumb, women showing off their bodies and things, but there is some stuff that's really amazing. EdenHarvz. Eden Harvs. Here's another one. Taylor, as long as we're doing TikToks, Taylor Lawrence tweeted this out. She says, "Queen Grandma of edits." This is good. Watch this one. This will make you realize it's not just for the kids.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Now, clearly, she's using an editor to do this. This is not.
That's beautiful.
But this is where TikTok really is kind of amazing. I see this effect a lot.
That's
on
rotoscoping.
And Pink does it a
doing
lot.
that on the phone.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, she's not handling the phone. Look at that. Queen Grandma. That was
awesome.
Impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
We can spend the whole next hour just watching TikToks, which is what people do.
No, we cannot.
Okay, I don't want to admit this. But if you scroll enough on TikTok, they actually put a slide up with a guy saying, "Okay, you've been enough time." Oh,
really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they do.
You've spent enough time on TikTok, take a break.
Oh, nice.
That's really embarrassing when you get to that. Because that means you've spent a lot of time scrolling.
That's the equivalent of Netflix. Like, are you still watching this?
You couldn't possibly.
You know that you should not be watching 9 consecutive hours of television.
Don't you think you need some sunshine right now,
it's
dude?
so tempting. It's so tempting. I've been watching. I was never into car racing, but I saw some TikToks of pit crews in Formula One, and these guys in 3 seconds they change all 4 tires. I'm watching this. I said, that can't be real. So there's a really good series. It's in their 3rd season now on TikTok on Formula One racing.
Drive to Survive.
I can't stop now.
I love it.
I'm hooked.
I was just talking about this
Have you ever seen it in real life?
No. It's that docuseries, the camera work, the lighting, the editing, the sound design, it's worth watching it just for that. Forget the stories behind it, but that whole series is like watching a trailer. If you turn on a movie trailer, it's got the same
very tight.
But that series I love it.
Oh, well, I'm glad to know. Now I told Lisa we have to go to Monaco next year.
Oh, take me.
No, here's what you can do. There's actually a text story there, y'all.
What is this sound? Is this me?
Okay.
It must be me.
Yes, you, sir.
It's me. No, I was playing Caspi. One of my favorite ones. There's this woman.
Are we boring you,
Jeff?
What's going on? Is Jeff doing his own show now?
And you see,
he can't stop TikToking.
The internet is addictive, you see.
Yeah.
And it's designed for this. Ooh.
What are you doing, Jeff? Jeff, eyes ahead, please.
Oh.
I'm so glad we're recording this.
Clap if you hear me.
What do you do with your kids, with your students? You must, I mean, you're doing Zoom, right?
It's graduate school.
Okay, so it's assumed that they're paying attention.
And plus, Leo, I just kind of, by my presence, demand their attention.
Oh, good. Apparently I don't.
There's that.
There's one young woman on TikTok. I've got to find her. And she looks like she's about 21. She has a voice as if it comes out of the 1940s.
Is she from Israel?
No. She's just unbelievable. I'm
actually glad that the Trump administration didn't dismantle TikTok. I mean, maybe they're spying on us. I don't know.
So who cares?
It feels like there's such creativity going on, and it's so vital. I really think it's great, and I'm sure that's the same on Instagram and Snapchat and elsewhere. But it's really a very exciting place to be. So, Stacey, are you an F1 fan as well?
I just told everybody in the chat room my story.
You said F1 data center operations are baller.
They really are.
It is.
So because when F1 came to Austin, they pitched me all the supercomputing stories, right?
Oh, I'm jealous.
They have an airplane. They have 24 hours to set up what is really a legit entire data center cabling, racks of servers, racks of media translation gear.
It's figured this would be the angle you'd find. This is perfect. They're right around huge cars.
But no,
look at the racks of the servers.
Actually, I'm the same way. That's what blew me away, Stacey, is you think it's motor racing, but it's a lot more. I mean, it's
so much precision. Like underneath each track, there's a whole, I mean, this is the IoT angle, but there are sensors and all of that has to be calibrated, but they do it all. They have 24 hours to set everything up. They've got an entire plane that only does the data center stuff. And then they've got 48 hours to pack it away. And then they fly to the next location. They do the whole thing again for the whole season. And it's just like watching the pit crew. Except it takes a little bit longer because, computers. But
that's awesome.
I mean, watching the directors and the cameras, and think about the guy who's directing it. He's directing the shots live.
Right.
And it's so fast. And he's just, I mean, it's so awesome. Okay. That's all.
No, I'm with you because they have so much data coming off of the vehicle as it's going around the track, and they can analyze that within seconds to say, hey, you know what? You're having a left rear brake starting to heat up. And the driver has no idea, but everybody way back 2 miles away around the other side of the track knew it, and they can assess it and fix it. And it's magical. I love it.
I wonder what the reaction is from the nerds to the grease monkeys.
The nerds and the grease monkeys are very similar. They are.
Are they?
You talk to Adrian Cockcroft, who is the head of Amazon's, I don't know what, used to be at Netflix. He's a huge F1 fan. Lots of our nerds are huge F1 fans. And I mean, the cars themselves are architected. They've got wind tunnels, most of the F1 teams. There's actually a formalized rule about how much supercomputing time you can use to analyze your car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a highly technical discipline. So
that's what actually literally what drew me. I mean, you do see, although as Ant points out, it's edited like a trailer, so it's you don't get to really glom into it. I wouldn't mind a single episode on just the data center or a single episode just on the pit crew, but you see they have all these screens and 6 people wearing headsets and they're sitting and they're staring intently at the screens. There's so much data. They
never turn around and look at the track.
Yeah, we had a sponsor, Tibco, which sponsors the Petronas F1 race car, and they're a data company. That's why they sponsor it, because there's more than a terabyte of data coming off of this car, and they're processing it in real time so that the driver and his crew can know what's going on and what's happening. It's very impressive. Yeah. Does each team have a plane with the equipment, or is there a single?
No. So there's one plane for the whole race.
Okay.
I mean, each team has God only knows what, but the data center's for everybody.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and then the team brings their own stuff. Right.
Yeah, and then the team has their own stuff, but they all hook in. So
they get onto the same backbone.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go.
Well, let's all meet in Austin this fall for the big because it's the only U.S. F1 race. Although we've had F1 demos here at the Infineon Raceway over here, but I would love to. We should get a Petaluma Formula One race. We stayed when we were in Monaco. We stayed on the hotel that's on the hairpin of the F1. Oh, yeah, but there wasn't a race going on. But I totally said, I think we might have to go back. I have a friend made a lot of money when his company was sold to America Online. He spent it all on F1 racing, following the F1 circuit. He blew it.
That's awesome.
He literally blew it all because he loved F1 so much. He went to Bahrain and Azerbaijan and Monaco. He went everywhere. He followed it
at night.
Wow, I didn't realize you were such a fan.
I loved it. I love it. I stepped away from F1 for a while. I used to watch it back in the 90s when I was a lot younger, and then I just sort of stepped away from it. But I got back into it about 3 years ago.
It's crazy.
3 or 4 years ago.
It's crazy.
Where do you go watch it in San Francisco?
Well, there is the only race in the U.S. is in Austin.
Just the one.
That's it? That's the only one in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It's a big deal. Although then they opened one up in Mexico City.
Yes, it's in Mexico City as well.
And Austin's really upset because now it kind of split the audience because they're kind of close together.
Yeah. They're not that close together.
In the Formula One racing world, it was a big controversial decision.
It's fascinating. I think we should do a Google story.
Oh yeah.
This week
Stacy
insists.
We've been talking about data.
No, this is look. I don't care.
I tried to take our. Did you see? I took F1 to a technical level.
This show is about whatever the hell you guys want to talk about. It's a democracy. Have I mentioned that?
Not this week.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Just like certain states right now. Yeah.
So FLoC, and actually I wanted a plug for Steve Gibson, because yesterday he did a whole segment on FLoC talking about, he actually used the EFF anti-FLoC piece. This is Google's proposal to replace third-party cookies. FLoC stands for Federated
Oh, heck, I forget.
Legion of Cohorts. Federated something of Cohorts. Is it Legion of Cohorts? And the idea is that instead of having individual information about you that Google or other companies collect via third-party cookies, it's much more anonymized. Apple does something called differential privacy, which seems similar, at least on the surface. Google will put you in a cohort. So it's unclear how many cohorts there'll be. The proposals in its early days, there might be as many as 16,000 or 32,000. There might be more. But the idea is, based on your behavior online, you're put into a cohort. And then when advertisers they'll buy a cohort. They'll say, well, let's see, I want 25 to 54-year-old men in Northern California.
No, they won't. No, that's what I learned today.
Okay, how does that work?
I talked to an expert today who knows about this. He said, no, you're gonna. His example was, you're selling Doritos, and only through experiment do you find that FLoC number B135 works with Dorito people, but you don't know who they are.
Oh, you don't even know their attributes.
That's what he said.
So who gives you that information? Google says, well, your ad worked best with B135?
Or you figured it out yourself, right? But then the other thing is, it's not permanent. Today I can be B135, next week I'm in B766,
based on changing behavior.
Based on changing behavior, I don't know what, right?
See, I don't see any real problem, because not only are you not personally identified, but even the cohort that you're in, nobody knows what that cohort represents. It's not Republicans, Democrats. It's just a number, right? Is that what you're saying? Right.
That's my friend David Gehring, who knows this stuff. He has a company called Distributed Media Lab, and he understands this ad stuff really well. So I was just on the phone with him earlier today talking about this, because there is a lot of, dare I say it, I don't know, perhaps
FUD,
moral panic, going on about this stuff. And but he said that it's very complicated when I figured it out. Now the other problem is that, so if you're Doritos, he said the problem is that you need to buy a whole bunch of things and figure out what works, and I think that's going to be expensive. And so I'm going to guess Google's going to have to help you out. If you're the media side of it, I don't know how you maximize yourself for FLoC. I don't get it at all.
Okay, step. First off, differential privacy is a little bit different. I just want to clarify that.
Good, please.
Differential privacy is when you have a data set and you insert random noise into the data set to make the aggregate data harder to de-identify.
Oh, okay.
So that's one.
Okay.
Two, I just was like, wait. And then with FLoC, my understanding was you could buy... You actually could find a cohort that would identify with your message. I guess you're saying, Jeff, though, that
you won't get any details about it. Yeah.
You may. I don't know what. It's not like you say you can get women 25 to 29. I don't think you can do that.
You don't think, or you don't?
But I don't know how you. If given a certain number of, I can't imagine every advertiser has to test against every FLoC. That clearly doesn't make any sense. This was a 10-minute phone call. So I'm no expert.
Because my understanding is it's based on like my behavior for a week of web surfing lumps me into a cohort.
Right.
So whatever, like if this is the week I'm researching, fitness equipment because I'm going on a diet and I'm, obviously Googling data centers and the latest.
Then you have some cacio e pepe and you give up because you say, this is so good. I wish I'd listened to Jeff long ago. I'm going to eat this every night.
So I've got all of that. Then I get lumped into a cohort for that week that's that's related to that. Next week, if I go looking for migraine cures for my daughter, then I might be in another cohort. But I'm pretty sure that you have some information related to the cohorts that will help an advertiser figure out.
There's got to be something, but it's really, but yeah, it's very limited, whatever it is.
Well, yes and no. It depends on the size of the cohort. And Google has said that the cohorts won't be too small. But like if I am looking for, what is that, mesothelioma or what?
Mesothelioma, yeah, the asbestos disease, yeah.
If you're in a small enough cohort, there is a worry that if you've got something,
it'll be apparent what you are. Yeah.
It'll be relatively apparent that there is someone who is worried about like weather in Seattle and mesothelioma.
Well, that's why they've got to limit the size of them.
You also you want to, but see, so this is, by the way, a lot of this is undetermined, which is why it might be a little confusing. Google's testing it to figure it out, but you want to make the cohorts big enough so that it's unidentifiable, but small enough so it's efficient. Because you want an efficient buy, right? You don't want to buy people to see your ad that don't want your ad. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I think they're still trying to figure this out.
I mean, I tried to talk Google into this years ago when I argued, I actually wrote about this, that I wanted Google to start to share data with publishers. But obviously there were privacy issues. But I said, you could say, hey, that guy likes video. You might do well if you just show them some video about the news. It might work for you.
The other thing that's important is this is done on browser. So whatever your surfing is, Stacy, it doesn't leave your browser. The cohort is built within the browser using on-device private processing. So your web history is completely private. It doesn't come out of it. So somehow they must have a way, though, of putting you in an affinity group.
Well, they're telling.
By the way, L is learning, not Legion. So it's
Legion.
Federated learning of
way
cohorts.
Less cool.
Yeah,
that was Legion.
I like the idea of marching with my FLoC.
Yeah.
Right, I have my own uniform for B135, and we march into war together in our Legion.
Google's ad buying tools will use the APIs from the Privacy Sandbox as part of the Privacy Sandbox to enable relevant ads and measure effectiveness. There is still work and testing to be done, and we're right in the middle of it right now. Marketers will be able to use their own technology to identify high-value FLoC IDs. And we expect ad tech platforms, including Google Display and Video 360, will accept such ID lists as seed lists. So I think you're right, Jeff. Somehow you have to figure out. This is the kind
that works for us. Find others that work like that for us. Yes.
And then you buy ads, I want B135 and B72 and B. So it's interesting. Yeah. By the way, FLoC is all part of a bird-oriented naming convention started with turtle dove, which Chrome introduced last year, which allowed advertisers, publishers, or ad tech companies to leverage their own first-party data. So that's the other thing. It's now first-party data collection as opposed to third-party.
So, Jeff, what does this do? Because obviously when we talk about anti-competitiveness in Google, we think about the idea of them being in the middle, right? The middleman kind of bargaining against the advertisers. With FLoC, if they know who the cohort is it an open standard? Because then you have to go through Google's ad engine to reach these people who are searching.
No, it's open standard. It is an open standard. They're hoping others will adopt this. And then I guess one of the things you could do is you could query visitors as to their FLoC ID and aggregate that on your website and go, we get a lot of B1. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Advertisers can use their own machine learning algorithms and predictive analytics capabilities to make decisions on what audiences or interests or cohort IDs might represent.
It almost sounds like you could test a flight.
Oh my God, it'd be a test flight?
Oh.
Apple's coming after you.
Apple's not going to like that.
Cohorts are dynamic updates every 7 days, as you said, Stacy. But
would it be useful to have somebody on the show for 10 minutes to explain this to us next time?
We need a good flocker. You want to get that guy that you just
I'll get that guy on.
See if you can get that guy. whatever his name is. Yeah, I wouldn't mind kind of getting, because we're clearly in the dark. And I think
part of his concern too is that what you have going on is you have the this kind of knee-jerk reaction against it, and what Dave and I just talked about was that we've got to have a conversation about what is the ad ecosystem we want. Because everybody screamed, cookies are evil, right? The Wall Street Journal started with what they know. So everybody told Google, you got to get rid of cookies. You got to get rid of everything. So they invent this, and everybody said, well, no, that's not it. And we do have to have targeting of some sort. Otherwise,
see, I think that's part of the problem.
I think so. Yeah, I think part of EFF.
EFF doesn't want targeting of any kind.
They want to. Their argument that they're making is this is the same road that we've been on and continues us down it. What if we stop because enough people have said, hey, targeted advertising isn't all that useful to people. There's not a lot of data saying that it's actually
a lot better than billboards on the highway.
Well, that's
TV
actually
advertising.
That is up in the air for people. So they're saying if it's not that great anyway, why are we risking so much of our privacy to continue down this path? What if we do something else?
That's two fallacies in one. Right?
I don't know if that's a fallacy, Jeff, because
how do you figure it's a fallacy?
Well, here, let's go with data on ad targeting.
Point one. I can't stand the as a consumer benefit. The ads that I see on TV irritate the hell out of me because they're just for the same for everybody. It's mass media. I hate mass media. I despise mass media. Point one. Point two, advertisers, I know because we lost our advertising in mass media to targeting because clearly it is more efficacious for them.
Well, we're facing that too because a lot of our advertisers say, well, you don't have enough information about who we're buying the ad for. We won't buy you. So that becomes a problem.
At least lose support for media.
Stacey, you might be right that targeting doesn't work, but advertisers think it does, and they demand it. So for whatever reason, you've got to satisfy the advertisers.
It's funny. I was just on the phone call with my mother a couple hours ago.
She sells ads for TV, right?
Right. And shout out to my moms. And hey, Mom, she just survived the big layoff that was mentioned with Sinclair. Mm-hmm. And so it's been up for discussion as far as, what's going on. How are they going to be able to sell ads? Because currently what's out there is just not fruitful for them anymore when we start talking about tracking and things like that. And as I got off the phone with her, I saw the rundown and saw this in there. And I said, hey, you might want to watch this show today because this is going to be some topics of discussion for today. But the other article that's in there, I believe it's line 20.
You don't have to worry about the lines.
Line 20.
It's lines.
Well, it's of use to no one.
Is this?
Except
I find it useful.
Yeah, but we're wasting our listeners' time telling them what line number.
Okay.
No. You waste more time saying, where's that story? I can't find that story. Is that story in the rundown? Jason, did you put that story in the rundown? And we can just tell you it's line 20, Leo, and you're there.
Okay, when I say that, tell me.
I like how it touched on just the pain of the post-cookie pain for marketers is what is titled there. Because during my conversation with my mother, she was talking about a website that she went to, and she went back to that website and clicked off just to see what would happen because she's expecting to see certain ads. And she brought that up to me, and I'm like, really? You're a nerd like that? And she says, yes, that's my job. I need to know
your mother. How these people are
retargeting. Yeah, I talked to her that way.
Called her a nerd.
Yeah, I called her a nerd, but she mentioned retargeting just as this article is talking about retargeting and how it's screwing some people up from a
because in retargeting, the media company could, from the marketer's perspective, you can follow that person who was boot interested all around the darn web. From the media company's perspective, at least you added in some data value along the way. You commodified yourself as well, but at least you played in a larger market with more advertisers. Programmatic, the problem here is programmatic. Programmatic commodifies all content and media.
So traditionally, TV ads, which are to a broad mass audience, and this is somewhat true of newspaper ads and other mass audience ads, are great for brands. Like if you're Procter & Gamble or Coca-Cola, you're trying to get your brand recognition out there as brand advertising.
Actually, not anymore.
Is that no longer true?
So I had a dinner with a bunch of advertisers. I'm in the habit of saying it's about a year ago, but a year ago I was stuck in quarantine. So it must have been about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And they said, no. Now we use the internet to build direct relationships with people, far more valuable.
They prefer that.
We don't care about media.
But does that mean they're not buying TV ads anymore?
It depends.
Somebody's buying them. It's funny. I mean, when you see, when I watch news, 24-hour news, as I suspect you do too, Jeff, and it's all drug ads. So the big pharma, look, I don't have any of the diseases they're talking about.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they've decided it's worth.
Because that's an old audience that probably isn't on TikTok.
Old folks watching.
Yeah, folks do watch television.
The median age of CNN for a decade has been over 60.
Yep.
So who buys? What do young people watch? They don't watch TV at all.
They're not watching anything live. That's the thing. That's another thing that she brought up is they're not watching anything live. And she's in the business of selling those mass media spots, but she's also on the digital side of things. So she's always been quite interested in how we do things here at Twit, as well as how other companies are doing it. And that was one of the things she brought up was just if it's live shows, it's pretty much dead in the water. The money is going to where it's a week or less from an agent standpoint. We do.
So when you buy an ad on Twit, we charge for I can't remember, the first 60 days, or it's a limited period of time. Even though that ad is burned into the content and it'll stay forever, we only can charge for a limited amount of time.
Right.
And the number of impressions generated over that amount of time. But lately, advertisers really are saying, look, agencies mostly say this, not individual advertisers. Most of our ad sales are through agencies. They say things like, well, we got to know more. We're trying the system. It's the best we can do. I don't want to. We can't track you. You're listening on an RSS feed. Spotify can track you.
Right.
If you're using a Spotify app, they can tell something about you, but we can't because you're using we're everywhere and it's RSS. So we're using this system. When you download the file, you'll notice if you look at the original URL, it has 3 redirects in it. One through a company called Chartable, one through a company called Podsites, and then I think Megaphone is the third one.
Megaphone, yeah.
And depending on the show. And what those companies do is to me is the best we could do, which is they know, as anybody does who sees the download, they know your IP address. They don't know anything more about you, but they get your IP address. And then they hold that, and we've made sure that these companies do that. They hold this tightly. They don't let anybody see that. But then the advertiser who is buying this service then sends them a list of IP addresses that visited their site. And then Chartable looks at the two of them and says, 30% of the people who downloaded this show visited your site. That's I think a very mild form of tracking. I think it's okay, but the advertisers at least want something like that to know, because we do the direct response stuff on all the ads, but that's kind of a limited effectiveness for a variety of reasons. So they like to combine that with this idea. Does that seem all right to you? I mean, it seems like nobody's seeing your IP address except a first party, and in this case, the third party that holds it tight, Chartable.
A middleman that tracks it. I think that's the way we got to go.
I don't know.
Tim Berners-Lee.
It's the only way to go from a privacy standpoint.
It may not be adequate, but it's all we can do at this point.
When I worked with a company that, full disclosure, I invested a little bit of money in, not that I had invest much, that Tim Berners-Lee was involved in. That was kind of his dream, is you'd have a trusted party
third
out here
party, that
could maintain that data in a way that was. Now then the next piece of that is, can you give me as the consumer some kind of visibility on that and control on that would be useful too.
Right. So the way FLoC works, and again, the reason there's some confusion is it's a draft, it's a moving target.
Right.
The draft specification, according to the EFF, says that your cohort ID, Stacy, you visited these sites this week. It's by week, although there is language that says currently, so that may change also. Your cohort ID is available via JavaScript. So as you go around visiting pages, besides your IP address, that page you're visiting can get your cohort ID.
Right.
It doesn't reveal anything about you personally.
So it can give that to a sell side marketplace and stick an ad in as a result.
Well,
and I think people are also concerned that you could reverse engineer the cohort ID to understand like what type of surfing I have been doing up until this point.
Right. We don't want to de-anonymize those. And then, so this is what EFF says. The first issue is fingerprinting. Google has promised the vast majority of FLoC cohorts will have at least 1,000 or more users. So a cohort ID alone should not distinguish you from other people like you, but it still is another data point for fingerprinters. And because it's in JavaScript, a fingerprinter can ask for that along with a bunch of other stuff that might help fingerprint you. So they've, by just the FLoC alone, has narrowed you down to some pool of thousands. Google has acknowledged this is a challenge, but says they plan to solve it as part of the broader privacy budget plan having to do with fingerprinting. That's one issue, is that it's another data point that can be used to uniquely identify you. The second problem that the EFF talks about is cross-content exposure.
So complicated.
Yeah. So a company that can identify, it knows your cohort, and then it can offer another form of identity, like log in with Google. It will be able to tie the information it learns from FLoC to your profile. So even though it changes every week, it may now become part of a larger dossier that you would accumulate. So eventually, Stacy, if you're using login with Google or some other system, or just log into the website, they can accumulate every time you visit more and more of your FLoC IDs.
Isn't this the problem with GDPR? Is the GDPR says that an IP is PII?
Well, Google has decided not to test in Europe, and they say
that's what I'm asking.
Due to GDPR.
So what the scenario you just gave would require matching a string of FLoCs with a set IP.
There's two concerns. There's one is in GDPR you have to have a data controller, and it's not clear who the data controller here is. It's not Google, and which will serve as the data processor in the creation of cohorts. It's not Google or your browser. It's some third party. And then there's the question: is a cohort ID identifying information like an IP address would be? So yeah, there's a lot of, it's tricky because Google is not completely clear on what the spec is.
Well, it's also tricky because Google already knows so much about you. So if you think about something like FLoC, I mean, I tell people not to do like log in with Facebook or log in with Google. I think you should have your own logins if you're really concerned about, I guess, cross-contamination between sites. But even so, like Google will know who I am and where my cohorts are if I'm in their browser or if I use their products, because they're going to see me coming back to like my Gmail constantly.
That's a perfect example of, they have both your FLoC cohorts and your
right. That's a huge question,
and
Stacey. What advantage does Google have in this?
Well, not just Google, anybody.
What controls are there? Anybody, but no, is Google in a uniquely advantageous position?
Well, but the point is, a like button could query your FLoC ID, and so every time you go to a site with a like button, you're sending your FLoC ID, and if you have a Facebook login cookie, your Facebook identity. So they can aggregate this dossier, and it can be over time. It could. So yeah, this is the privacy issue that the context, the shared contexts or cross context exposure privacy issue, and that's significant. EFF says you should have the right to present yourself to any given site in the way you want. And it shouldn't be based on your past browsing history or your FLoC ID or anything else. And
that's what kills media, because you go, a frequent visitor to the New York Times now is like 5 pages a month, and so in that they can't sell higher value advertising. it's going to hurt journalism badly if you demand that as the standard. Because then I get it, but the only relationship I have with you is your direct relationship with me. Well, nobody has much of a relationship with any site except for
Google,
big platforms like Facebook.
Yeah.
So Facebook, in that equation, Facebook says, sure, regulate away, we win.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking more about this. In fact, if we can get a FLoC expert on, maybe we should wait a little longer until FLoC settles a little bit, because it is very much in flux. But
a lot of questions.
There are a lot of questions.
It's flux.
Yeah.
I want to say something very important. If she's watching, Ant's mother, thank you for Ant. He's a wonderful person.
Yeah, we love Ant. Good job. Good job on Ant.
Good job.
Ant did a good job on Ant too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if y'all want to talk about this, but I saw it earlier this week, and it related to stuff we've talked about in the past. There was a study out by a company called SparkToro. It's a marketing firm. And they said in 2020, 2/3 of Google searches ended without a click.
I saw that. Hold that
snippets,
thought. Let's
okay.
hold that thought.
Wait. Just if you're going to do that story, it got majorly debunked.
Okay.
So just
hold that thought. We'll talk about it in just a second. Stacey Higginbotham, the website staceyoniot.com. Sign up for her free newsletter all about IoT. She's really, as you can tell, smart. It's the glasses, I think. No, I'm kidding. She's really smart and knows a lot about a lot of things, including Formula One racing. And so that is a highly informed newsletter. The podcast she does with Kevin Toffel, the IoT podcast, is also a great listen. Mr. Ant Pruitt, hands-on photography. Skipped you, Jeff. Bye-bye. Ant Pruitt, hands-on photography. No. It was a subliminal Jeff stuck in there. Thank you for being here. And then Jeff Jarvis.
Hypnotize.
Yeah, hypnotize. Buzzmachine.com. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in Medium, too, because I know you write for Medium. But first, a word from our sponsor. Today, the show brought to you by IT Pro TV. We figure anybody who listens. See, this is why we don't need to spy on you. If you listen to any of our podcasts, we know you're kind of into tech, I'm thinking. And probably a number of you have been thinking, I should be working in IT, or maybe you already do work in IT. You ought to know about IT Pro TV. Let's face it, there's no shortage of online platforms that let users brush up on IT skills or learn new ones. But there's no better online training platform for this than IT Pro TV. 7 studios running all day, Monday through Friday. Fun, entertaining, but very well-informed trainers. One of the most important aspects of IT these days is, of course, cybersecurity. More than 1 million jobs open right now in IT security. And businesses are vulnerable. IT leadership needs to understand what's going on. IT Pro TV can help you there, too. The best way for businesses to combat threats is to keep up with industry trends and strengthen the skills of IT leadership. IT Pro TV has a business platform developed from the ground up to support online IT training, and not just for the IT department, but for IT leaders. It's part of the ACI Learning portfolio of audit, cyber, and IT learning solutions for consumers and enterprises. 5,800 hours of engaging video training online and on demand. They have courses on malware detection, cryptography, pen testing, end-user security awareness, and a lot more. Individuals can launch or advance their careers in the cybersecurity realm with IT Pro TV. Get those certs, get you that first job, or get the skills you need to get a better job. It's the only official video training partner for CompTIA, so you know you're in the right place for getting the right certs. Those CompTIA certs, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, are in high demand. Employers really want those. March is Cisco month at IT Pro TV, too. They'll be featuring their 12 Cisco courses, including CCNA, CCNP, CCT, Encore, SLED, and RC. Check out their webinar with Cisco Award winner David Bombal. They finished it about a week ago, but it's on demand. You can watch it now. Get hands-on with Cisco. Go to itpro.tv/webinars. That's free. Also free, there he is, Don Pizzette, and his TechNado podcast, featuring industry guests and IT news recaps. If you're in IT, you got to listen, or if you want to get in IT. IT Pro TV is an awesome place to learn, whether it's as an individual trying to get into IT or an existing, you're already in IT, but you want to have better skills to get a better job, or you're an IT leader and you need the skills to be a better leader, to do a better job, or you've got an IT team you want to keep up to date and trained. IT Pro TV has a plan for all of you. IT Pro TV is also helping communities during our COVID crisis. They serve 30 plus COVID impacted educational institutions with free training. They've got the technology and they thought they'd share it, spread it around. Almost 250,000 people now at IT Pro TV getting the knowledge, the support they need to get a better job in IT. You should join them. Go to itpro.tv/twit. Use the code TWIT30 to receive 30% off all consumer subscriptions. itpro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30 for an additional 30% off for the lifetime of your active subscription. Stay active. You save 30% forever. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. itpro.tv/twit. Don't forget that offer code TWIT30. I saw this zero-click Google searches. This was, I think this was on Search Engine Land. Stacy, before we debunk it, if we debunk it, what was the story?
So a firm called SparkToro, which is a marketing firm, I guess, online marketing. They redid a study on the number of clicks that companies get from Google searches, and they discovered that almost 65% of searches on Google stay on Google. They never click out to another website. So this related to me to our conversations that we've been having about snippets.
So is the presumption then that those 65% got what they wanted in the search, or that they just lost interest and wandered off?
Well, they don't know. They're just saying that, hey, the 65% completed a search without any direct follow-up click to another web property.
Right.
And that is up from, let's see, let me go
50%
back. When they did this in
2019.
In 2019.
Yeah.
So that's the news, or that's the headline.
Why would that go up? It must go up because Google has put more content, not just snippets, but the knowledge graph and other content. I'm just thinking about my own use. Let's say I'm searching to figure out how old a celebrity is. Right there on the right in the knowledge graph, there's the Wikipedia article. It says, I'm done.
It's no need to click.
Or like I do this all the time. I'm like, oh, the restaurant near me, I want to give it a call. So I'll be on my phone.
You just need the phone number.
Marche, call. And technically, I'm never leaving Google when I'm doing that. I mean, in Google's refutation of this, it actually talks specifically about some of those use cases where, hey, we may not be leading it to the website of another business, but we are leading them to business. Yeah, I'm calling directly from the Google
I just searched for our local lunch place, Cafe Giostra, and the knowledge graph on the right, it has the phone number. It has it's at hours. It has a map. It has everything I need. But you're right. That's good.
Fine.
That's good for Cafe Giostra. But then if I search for how old is Donald Trump, look, I didn't even have to do the search.
That's commodity information. Like, no one owns that information. No one has a right to give you that information. No one's robbed that information. It's information.
Yeah.
In an enlightened society, that's the way it works. It's known. It's known.
But like, let's do something like how do I clean my washing machine? Try that.
How do I clean my washing machine? Now, by the way, I love the completions with vinegar, filter, drain pipe naturally with baking soda, with a fresh without vinegar, with white vinegar. So I'll do this search. And look, Laundry 101, which
is... but what is that? That comes from HGTV.
It's now lost tech. Well, but that's the thing.
Hold on, but this is what we're looking for. Can I get...
This is the answer. Right there, so I don't need to click HGTV or anything.
But the truth is, you probably want to know more than those 3 lines. You probably will click in that case.
It says, keep your washing machine clean by periodically running an empty load with hot water and vinegar. Open the top of the machine and let it sit all bleachy and full for an hour. At the end of the hour, shut the cover. Seems like that's the whole recipe.
That's a lot of
scan down.
stuff.
So scan down. Oh, scroll down.
Okay.
Just because I'm curious to see. So, because you're also
look at this.
seeing like
here's a YouTube video and key moments in the video. That's new.
These are my new favorites. I gotta say.
I love that. I can jump to the video.
You just complained about it.
search.
Now you like being taken to the direct. Maybe it's
that's what Google's explanation is. Look, this is what people want.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but
this is why
they didn't write this. They didn't write this. They snipped it from HGTV
or from the YouTuber. Depending on if I'm like, oh, well, clearly, as a quick scan of that page, I'm like, oh, all I need to do is run vinegar through my machine.
Right.
Okay.
Now, that's not necessarily coming from the slug line of the sites, right?
No, it is.
No, some of it's coming from inside.
Oh, the body. Yes, it is the body text.
It'll highlight body text.
Okay, so let's see. This is what.
Yeah, actually, if you click through, you'll see it yellowed. Yeah.
That's
Search
fascinating.
For a simple word.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there's going to be.
There's a lot of stuff that I don't really care about. So yeah, you're right. They kind of extracted the.
Because we ruined the web. We cluttered it up with all this crap.
Well, that's a good point too. And by the way,
important.
I think a lot of the objection to FLoC and third-party tracking cookies is conflated with people's hatred of ads on the web in general. It's like
all the
I tried
junk
to read
we put
this.
on.
Okay, the search engine land. I was like, oh, that's a good refutation. I'll go read it. I could not.
Terrible.
I could not
site.
read it.
Isn't it awful? It is
like,
awful.
nope,
However,
what you're trying.
In the last 4 minutes, I asked Danny Sullivan as a DM. I couldn't find his piece. It's now in the rundown. I would tell you the line, Leo, but I don't want to upset you.
I got it.
Wasn't he part of Search Engine Land?
He's now at Google.
He used to be, but now he actually wrote the refutation to that particular.
Yeah, he's the public Google's
and
public
the thing
liaison.
that Stacey's talking about is Search Engine Journal, not Danny's Search Engine.
Oh, sorry.
Search Engine Journal looks like some kind of odd rippy-offy site.
Well, that's why I run an ad blocker, which, of course, is really hypocritical of me because I try to get people to listen to ads on our shows. It's the only way we fund our shows. But my justification is that you can't read many sites, especially on mobile, because there's a risk, a security risk, and they triple the. I mean, the size of the site's bloated because of all this crap that's coming down in the ad. Yeah. So, I run an ad blocker in self-defense. So I understand how hypocritical.
But you also pay for services too, Mr. Laporte. You also
but do I pay for everything? I mean,
Post.
But I also look at a lot of stuff ad free. I don't pay for The Verge, but I don't see The Verge's ads either. So sorry, Neil. Right. You can hate me now.
He doesn't ask you for money.
No, he doesn't. He's ad supported, just as we don't ask you for money. We're ad supported. Right. And by the way, I know a lot of people listening skip through the ads. I mean, that's fine. If the ad's not germane
you people.
Well, we try
to have you no respect.
No, I don't
Leo
expect
works
you to.
hard for this.
I don't expect you to.
Leo works hard. Jeff needs his cacio e pepe.
Yeah.
I've got fancy glasses to buy. Aunt needs photography equipment.
I need more lights.
Come on, people. What's the sacrifice? They're nice advertising.
I'll be honest with you. If I thought we could survive on subscription alone, I would do it in a heartbeat. We tried when we started out, and it just wasn't enough.
That was
money.
such a different world then. Nobody was used to do it to pay for anything. I don't know.
There are now tools that make it, Patreon and stuff that make it very more doable. I look at Substack, and even, by the way, Ben Thompson, great defense of Substack. We talked last week about how Substack doesn't say who they pay and gives the impression that perhaps everybody's making a great living on Substack when in fact they're paying some people as much as like Casey Newton, $250,000 for his first year. Ben points out that actually cost Casey Newton money because according to his subscription numbers, he'd have made $750,000. The difference is kept by Substack. It was a good investment on their part. And now Casey's got a thriving enterprise. He didn't have to take the risk of leaving an established publication. He created his own newsletter. Substack gave him, in effect, an advance. And now in year 2, he's going to make that $750,000. So it's a pretty good defense of, he calls it the sovereign writer, the writer who is, their own sovereign nation. Mm-hmm. And it's a good defense. Yeah.
So one thing about this Toro thing is, what I don't understand is the methodology of how they got the data. That baffles me.
What does Danny say?
Danny, well, I haven't read it yet. I just put it up 3 minutes ago. So.
Oh, okay. Google search sends more traffic to the open web every year. This week, we saw some discussion about a claim the majority of searches on Google end without someone clicking off to a website. As practitioners across the search industry have noted, and he has a link in this blog post, it's in the keyword blog, the claim relies on flawed methodology that misunderstands how people use search. In reality, Google search sends billions of clicks to websites every day, and we've sent more traffic to the open web every year since Google was first created. And beyond just traffic, we also connect people with businesses, as we just saw, in a wide variety of ways through search, such as enabling a phone call to a business. So his contention, as I understand it, is just because when people are doing a search, they're not necessarily looking for a web page.
Nope.
Right.
People don't always know how to word their queries when they begin searching. They might start with a broad search like sneakers. After reviewing the results, realize they actually wanted to find black sneakers. Those are 0 clicks because they immediately modify their search. Because this happens so frequently, Google offers features like related search links to help people formulate their searches and get to the most helpful result. Good example, I misspelled Cafe Giostra.
Yep.
They said, did you mean Cafe Giostra? And showed me it properly spelled. And by the way, I know that. That's why I didn't pay any attention to how I spelled it.
And thank you for properly pronouncing it for me, because I've always wanted to know how to pronounce it.
There you go.
Food is so
Cafe Giostra. It's the best.
It's so good over
Isn't
there.
it good? Oh, it's good. Oh, it's good.
Do they serve cacio e pepe?
No one.
But they have great focaccia.
They make it themselves every morning, but you got to get there early because they sell out fast. People look for quick factual information like weather forecasts, not going to be a click. Sports scores, not going to be a click, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he also points out we provide this information drawing from licensing agreements. So there's some implication that we might be paying for this or tools we've developed. Factual information about COVID or the U.S. elections.
Although
they
some
got
of
in
those
trouble
things,
with.
Remember the Zagat acquisition and how people were upset because people stopped going to restaurant review or Yelp. Sorry, Yelp was pissed because people stopped going to them because the reviews were getting.
Stacey, as I remember, didn't Yelp have a different? Yelp complained that they scraped without permission, and then Google stopped.
They did complain about that for a while, but they also were upset that then Google basically took over their business and disintermediated them.
By the way, I can't stand Yelp. It is one of the most irritating services on earth.
Yeah, I used Zagat because I never trusted Yelp. I was actually
despise
sad that Google bought Zagat because I really loved the Zagat guides. Lisa and I used to compete on rating after we'd go to a restaurant. She'd say, well, I think that was a 24. I said, what are you talking about? It's a 26 easy, thanks to Zagat. I'm actually very sad, and I think they sold it.
Use maps.
They sold it back, or not sold it back, but they sold it off.
They sold it to someone.
It's not come back, and I think they killed Zagat, frankly. Maybe Yelp killed Zagat. I don't know. Maybe
Marissa Meyer bought it.
Yeah, that's
for
right.
Google. It's back to Zagat.com.
I don't actually, having read Danny's article now, I don't think it really fully defends.
Oh, no. Half of it's mealy mouth. We're doing billions of search.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, I'll read the last paragraph. I'll read the last paragraph to you. We care deeply, Google writes, about the open web and have continually improved Google search over the years, helping businesses, publishers, and creators thrive. Some would argue we should revert back to showing only 10 blue website links. While we do show website links for many queries today when they are the most helpful response, we also want to build new features that organize information in more helpful ways than just a list of links. And we've seen that as we've introduced more of these features over the last 2 decades, the traffic we're driving to the web has also grown, showing it's helpful for both consumers and businesses. The truth is, Google's giving us what we ask for, which is information at your fingertips. But I also am completely sympathetic with any publication that's getting scraped and doesn't get that traffic.
But if you're dealing in commodity information, then that's going to happen to you.
Why should HGTV get a page view for this vinegar thing, which they obviously didn't invent?
Copied that recipe from other sites to other sites to other sites to other sites. Right. It's Grandma Jones somewhere.
In fact, it's almost certainly
first discovered you could use vinegar.
It's almost certainly written as link bait.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's actually written to get the Google search result to go there.
I worked with About.com. Their entire company was the first media company built for the Google age, where they knew what people searched on, and if they didn't have it, they wrote it so you'd come to it.
What was that
Google
term?
Ads right there.
What was the term that they used for that? There was a term that was in vogue for a while about these kinds of companies that basically created content.
Oh, well, About.com did it well, but then there were the farms.
Yeah. There was a phrase for it, but anyway.
Yeah, there was factories or farms, but that then screwed it up for everybody. And that's what led to Penguin, the update in Google search to say, About.com may be okay, but these other 100 companies doing the same stuff, just doing clickbait stuff, has ruined the web experience. So we're going to downgrade everybody equally because we're fair, Google. And sorry about, you just got, you showed the way, but you got borked too. Is it anything good?
But nevertheless, I have to say, and I have some sympathy for companies that spend money to create content and then it gets scraped by Google to a little blurb at the top and people, it happens. I know it happens. People see that, say that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, but again, that company scraped somebody else's content to write that.
No, I'm saying there is content that is somebody was hired, paid to write it, did the legwork, did the journalism, wrote it up, and then it turned out that the gist of the article could be expressed in 3 sentences.
Which is what they should have done. And so if you think that that's a future to do that, it's probably not.
Google doesn't grab or what's the word? They don't register articles beyond a certain length. So you have to pad sometimes.
Oh,
that's a problem.
I wonder what's the search behavior for people using social media? Because I know for some things I go to Google to do a quick search for a bit of information. But if I hear about some rumorville or whatever, like say the shooting that just recently happened.
Oh, I was just thinking about that. The Suez Canal.
That is a story. Oh my God.
There's a great thread in the rundown about that.
I'd rather, instead of going to Google and looking that up, I would go to social media into that search field because it's probably going to give me a really good source, like a popular news source that's going to have a lot of information.
Well, ironically, it would give you a link to the Twitter thread, which was created by John Scott Railton.
He did a great job.
So the Suez Canal is blocked. It's this monster container ship, the Ever Given. Let me see if I can find a picture of it, because when you see how big this thing is, there it is.
There it is.
Ooh.
4 football fields long.
That's a woman took that picture who was on the ship behind.
And worse, it's really, really tall. To give you some sense, each of these little boxes is actually a railway boxcar. So you get some sense of the size of this. And I've been down this canal. The Suez Canal is kind of interesting because there are no locks, because the level of the Mediterranean and the Gulf that it's going into are the same. So they're the same sea level. So it's just really a channel through the desert. It's really, we went through it in 2019, and at the end of 2019, I was really thrilled. I always wanted to. And what's happened here, unfortunately, is this ship lost power, couldn't control it, tilted, and then jammed it has a bulbous prow that it jammed into the mud of the side.
And keep going. The picture's down there.
As a result, hundreds of ships were backed up into the Mediterranean because, well, here's the ships backed up in the Mediterranean and the Gulf. They can't get through because the Ever Given is just
stuck like a cork in a bottle.
There's the bulbous prow, and you can see how it's actually jammed.
If you click on it, you'll see the full bulbous prow.
Yeah,
it's 3 photos.
So you don't see one there, but this is what it looks like when it's sailing. It's many feet. A lot of ships these days have these bulbous prows like that. So they had a bunch of tugs out and stuff. I think it's is it cleared now?
I don't think so yet. Last I looked a few minutes ago.
What does it say on Twitter?
It started this morning. Yeah, it's really.
Well, it started yesterday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like it got stuck yesterday.
Wow.
It's been the Suez has been blocked for like at least 24 hours.
That's a big deal.
That's a long time.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, I don't think it's open yet. They're digging around the bulbous prow. There's great pictures of this little tiny earth mover trying to get this huge ship out. Right?
It's making some great memes. That's all I have to say.
Oh, it is. It is. And the ship trackers are just amazing. The ship traffic that connects the world is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
That you get now.
They can go around, but it's an additional 2,700 kilometers.
12.5 days.
Yeah, it's a significant change. We went. It was one of my bucket list items was to go through the Suez Canal, and it was quite a sail. And by the way, when you get through it into the Gulf of Aden, then you have to watch out for pirates. So
yeah, there's that.
We took on some Israeli commandos. It was a cruise ship. We took on some Israeli commandos, and we were informed by we actually had to have a pirate drill.
Really?
Oh yeah,
commando. Wow.
Well, you have a pirate drill, and you have to all go into a part of the ship that's inside, and you can't be by a window or anything. And so they warn you, and then there's like a 4-hour transit past Somalia and some of the poorer countries at the south of the Gulf of Aden, and they warn you, stay inside, don't. And then they all clear, pirate. We're all clear, no pirates. It's really kind of fun. But yeah, you see these really big, heavily armed fellas standing on the deck with binoculars because they're trying to watch out for pirates.
Sounds like a fun vacation, sir.
It was a great vacation. It was a trip of a lifetime. Let me tell you, baby. Trip of a lifetime. I won't mention what happened at the end. That wasn't so good. We had a flight home, but I somehow screwed up the calendar and I missed it. We arrived at the airport 24 hours later, and they said, "Well, you left yesterday." I said, "We don't."
That's because
really
you know how to party.
We don't. We were partying in Dubai. Let me tell you,
lost day
in Dubai.
So how'd you get out? Did you have to buy a whole
new
very
flight?
Carefully?
Never got that money back.
Oh no!
Bought a whole new flight.
Ouch.
I called our travel agent. I said, "Get me out of here."
I remember that story.
It was no fun. That was our last trip anywhere.
Yep.
That's a big trip. I think my last trip was to Tennessee.
Well, there was another trip after that. You're right. In March, we went to St. Louis to visit Worldwide Tech, but
WWT.
yeah,
Sponsor.
that was our last vacation. Yeah. Let's take another break because I got a vacation to pay for. So I wish if only.
And people, I don't know who it is yet. It's a nice sponsor. Leo does a great job with the read. It's very friendly. It's very informative. Stick around, will you?
No, you don't have to listen to it, honestly.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. It's only right.
Oh my goodness.
I don't. If you're not interested, skip ahead. It'll be a couple of minutes, and we'll be back. That's
what I do. I go and get water.
Spaghetti against the wall.
Yeah, I noticed the hosts all disappear while I do these ads.
It's a 3-hour show. There's water, snacks, bio breaks.
I'm just going to point out that Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League is 4 hours. You didn't get up for that.
I can't watch that.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't watch it, nor do I care to.
I actually did, and I loved it, but I watched it over 3 nights. That's actually...
And is that a hill you're prepared to die on?
Apparently.
That sounded really I'm like, dang.
Apparently...
Don't care. People are so fired up over that movie, and I'm like, man, really? There's other stuff.
I didn't see the original, which got panned like crazy. I'm not even a comic book fan. There's a handful of Marvel and DC heroes that I like the movies. I love the Dark Knight movies.
Dark Knight was great.
I actually love Black Panther, which is a Marvel, but I'm not a big fan of all of the because I didn't read the comic books, so it doesn't resonate. But this was really good, partly because it had Superman and Batman in it. But it was really good. I thought it was, he added backstory. It was a little weird because the whole thing is in 4:3 aspect ratio.
Oh, wow.
It's not widescreen.
Wow.
And apparently Zack Snyder.
Old school.
So the story was Zack Snyder was directing it. His daughter died. His teenage daughter died. He had to leave the movie. Joss Whedon finished it, but didn't finish it well. Some years later, Zack Snyder said, "Hey, give me some money, HBO." And HBO Max paid for this, Warner, I guess. Give me some money, and because I want to shoot some extra stuff and I want to make the CGI better. I hated the CGI, so they did extra CGI. They shot extra quite a bit, apparently, of extra footage because it went from a 2-hour movie to a 4-hour movie.
4-hour movie. Wow.
A lot of backstory. It wasn't, so I guess I'm not crazy about super action-oriented films. There was a lot more backstory in it, which I liked, you know. Superman in a cornfield, things like that, you know. Yeah. Okay.
I'll check out the Cliff Notes on YouTube.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything. Our show today brought to you by Uber for Business. You're right. This is a great, if you are a business, if you're not, you don't need to listen to this. But if you are a business, one of the challenges, especially now, is to get people to come to your Zoom meeting. It's to get people to come to your, let's say, your car dealer, come to your store. It's to, you know, employees who work late or coming in, or maybe you are working at home, but you want to really kind of thank them. Uber for Business is a great way to do that. If you're looking for a way to stand out to your customers or make employees feel extra valued, you can use Uber for Business to spiff them with rides or meals. And this is not new. Over 150,000 companies use Uber for Business to improve customer and employee satisfaction. With vouchers from Uber for Business, you can add, let's say, $20 to an employee's Uber account. Let me pay for the ride. Or customer, let me. Come on, you got to come out and see this. Let me pay for the ride there and back. You can order meals. Hey, let me buy you coffee so you'll come to our meeting through Uber Eats. If you want to make your customers love your business even more, offer them a voucher for a free meal or a ride when they make their first purchase or spend a certain amount. It's a really nice way. Everybody understands it's very easy for you. You sign up for free, and you can immediately start sending out vouchers to customers and colleagues, the people who matter most to your business. Very simple to send for you, very easy to redeem for your giftee. You have total control, by the way, over who gets them, when they expire, what portion of the ride or meal you want to cover. No surprises in this. You share the voucher via email or text, and then they can be redeemed with a single tap, click. And best of all, you only pay for rides they take or meals they order. Everybody uses this. More than half of the Fortune 500. It's such a great idea. And we've got a nice little benefit for you. If you want to sign up right now, create your first vouchers campaign, spend at least $200, you'll get a $50 voucher. So a great discount. Go to uber.com/twig to learn more. Uber, of course, uber.com/twig. Terms and conditions apply. For a limited time, receive a $50 voucher when you create your first vouchers campaign and spend $200. Uber.com/twig. See, nice advertiser, nice people. Thank you, Uber, for supporting This Week in Google. And by the way, just as a listener, when you go to uber.com/twig, that's the signal they're looking for to say, I heard it on Twig, and that really helps us. You know,
you heard Leo, you do it. I'm telling you.
But you don't have to do it.
But you should, because you're decent people, you're nice people, you watch the show, you were friends. That's what you should do. Just tell him.
And we appreciate it.
We do.
We do appreciate it. That I will back. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, my theory on advertising is we're doing introductions to products we know and we use and we trust and we like to you as an audience. And take it or leave it. If it's something that you can use, it would be great for us if you'd use that special URL. But if it's not something you can use, no harm, no foul. You can even skip the ad. I don't mind. We want to make it a benefit for everybody. I want everybody to win. I'm not trying to scam anybody, you know. What line number?
The YouTube story. Where'd it go?
YouTube story. YouTube saved her chateau.
No,
YouTube to auto-detect products
40.
and videos, or the Preteen's Guide to Getting Rich off YouTube.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'll tell you about that one next. YouTube is something Alex Lindsay has said for years. The best ads are the products in content, right? Especially, you know, a car that looks cool or clothes that sound I love that dress. That's a great way to do it. So YouTube is starting to do recognition of products in content. And at some point, there will be, right beneath the player, there'll be a list of the products in the video. Here's an example. This is on a Pixel phone.
So I hold this up. by chance, and suddenly there's going to be a purchase because they're going to recognize that?
I don't know.
Oh, this for the listeners was a bottle of water.
Pellegrino.
Not just any water.
Pellegrino.
That ain't a bottle.
That was fancy water.
Was that con gaz or sans gaz? Con gaz. The YouTube algorithm, according to 95 Google, does a fairly solid job of auto-detecting just what content you've been watching and serving up related videos. Oh, no. Yeah, but this feels more like the kind of content you watch as research for making a purchase. So you might really be interested. I mean, you're not watching this to figure out what's fizzy water Jeff drinks. I don't know. It's interesting. Will we get a cut of that? Probably not.
No, probably not.
Well, see, that was the approach that I had on it, because I use affiliate links on my personal brand, and it's nice to be able to capitalize off of those affiliate clicks here and there. And I would like but I do get that if it's something in my background that may be useful for somebody and YouTube recommends that in a non-evasive way, I do get that. But I hope this isn't something that's going to take away from the content creator that is creating content about a product that they're holding up right now, and then YouTube sticks another link down there that takes away from the creator.
Well, that takes me to the other article about getting rich off Google. Do you know who Ryan Kaji is? If you have little kids, you do. He is probably the most successful YouTube creator of all, 29 million subscribers. He made last year, it's estimated $30 million. He's 9 years old.
Jeez.
Oh, that's the kid with the toy. Opening toys.
Toy unboxing. I think it's his parents made $30 million. I don't know. He started when he was 3 with toy unboxing. So now we know it's his parents, right? But one of the ways that he has generated all this income is not just from advertising, but from merchandising deals and sponsorship deals with Walmart and Target. He's got TV shows with Nickelodeon and Amazon. They have their own footwear line with Skechers. Products bearing Ryan's world branding generated more than $250 million in sales in 2020. And the Kaji's share of those sales represent from 60 to 70% of the $30 million of their annual revenue. So only 30 to 40% comes from ads in, YouTube ads in there. He has like 8 separate channels. They realized very quickly this 9-year-old, labor laws would prevent him from working 24/7. So they created additional channels with animated characters and so forth. I haven't watched it, but good Lord, $30 million. Now he says, whenever I was much younger, I liked to play with toys. So we do lots of toy videos, but now I like to do gaming videos, science, arts and crafts, exercising. Well, I'm glad to hear that. There's Ryan's Toys reviews. There's animated characters, including Combo Panda and Gus the Gummy Gator.
What is his parents' jobs?
Apparently this.
Management.
No,
I mean, like, how did they get to the...
They actually have a manager. They have Pocket Watch, which is a former YouTuber created Pocket Watch, who's been making a lot of these deals. He was at Maker Studios and has now branched out.
There's something that I think gets overlooked, in particularly with the people wanting to be a big YouTuber, is it's not always just getting those funds from the Google ad service. What's it called? AdSense, getting paid from Google AdSense. It's more than that. It's about your brand and getting it in front of millions of people to pay you directly, not pay you through YouTube. People like Gary Vee and Roberto Blake, they get a lot of flack for their hustle talk, but they also try to tell you, look, it's not just putting all of your eggs in one basket of YouTube. It's taking your brand to YouTube and then growing beyond that and just, using that as a bit of leverage. Yeah, if you got a lot of subscribers, you're going to get a lot more eyeballs, but you got to go beyond YouTube.
Well, and to that point, you remember last year, YouTube, which was getting in a lot of trouble, got a $170 million fine because of advertisements targeted at children, demonetized all the videos aimed at kids. Apparently, that cost Kaji 50% in his sales. So that's why it's so important not to be, you know what? You don't want to be dependent on somebody else's platform ever.
Nope.
So the more you can be, branch out and diversify. This is a line you'll like, Jeff. This is from Bloomberg Business Week. There are 6-year-olds on YouTube who draw larger daily audiences than Tucker Carlson.
Mm-hmm. That makes me very happy. Very happy.
Coco Melon, the most watched channel on all of YouTube, launched a line of toys in September. They've licensed episodes to Netflix. Yeah, that's the key. But it's the problem is I don't know how anybody knew that this kid would be the thing and that it would make it. And he obviously must be very charismatic. I wonder, how he's going to do as in adulthood.
What happens to him when it goes away? I mean, it's just like every child star ever, but this is a child star, $30 million. Jeez. Yeah. I hope,
hopefully
pray that
he
they're
can
saving it well for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he can I would love to give my daughter, let's say 20 million of the 30 million and be like, hey, you know what? Go to college.
Your college is paid for, kid. Yeah.
This
is a 16-year-old VC instead.
Well, no, I mean, I would.
It's also bad, though, to peak too early. Because then you spend the rest of your life wondering what happened,
Well, I mean, is it a peak to be analyzing toy videos? I mean, think about it. Like, it's a peak in terms of, yes, that's a heck of a lot of money, but you could go and then peak in a completely different career.
Yeah.
I've never liked the term. Sorry, go ahead.
Peak? Yeah, me either.
No, I've never liked the term viral. Someone's video went up on YouTube and it went viral. And it's great for that moment, but I want longevity for the content that I personally create. If you go and watch hands-on photography right now, I want you to be able to look at it a year from now and it still be just as useful and important to you. Not something that just sort of fades out like a fad, which is typically what happens with a lot of this viral stuff. I can remember, what was it? Harlem Shake? Was that the name of it?
Yeah. I stood on the table.
I remember you breaking the table, Mr. Laporte.
Yeah.
Was it about a month later we all forgot about it?
Yeah. It was just, well, if TikTok's even worse, like these trends come and go like in minutes, it seems like, but everybody does them briefly. So how about this young lady, interestingly named Stephanie Jarvis?
I wish it were a long-lost cousin, but I don't think so.
She realized, along with her friends, that for the amount of money they pay for their flats, they could buy a chateau in France. And created a YouTube channel called the Chateau Diaries about their life living in the castle.
So I ended up watching an entire hour, almost of it, about how YouTube saved her with the pandemic and everything, and how now it's her full-time job. The fans help her redo the chateau. You think, well, she's making a fortune. No, the chateau is worth as much now as it was when she bought it.
Oh.
But she also, in season, will have a bed and breakfast and have events and stuff. But she's charming, and because every Jarvis is, and it's kind of mesmerizing how she has her Kickstarter fans and YouTube fans, and this is her life now. This is her living.
There must be a thing going on with TikTokers and YouTubes who have houses designed for TikToking and YouTubing. I was watching. There's an 18-year-old TikToker, Julia Graff, who has the strangest house ever. It's got a slide in it. It's got a drive-in movie inside drive-in. It's the craziest thing ever. And I realized, I mean, I think about iJustine. I mean, I think you, at some point in your life, you decide, I'm going to be an event. That's how you succeed on these things. I'm going to be an event. But it must be exhausting. I would be exhausted by the whole thing, right?
Well, you're much older than the event crowd.
I guess if you're young, yeah, maybe.
I mean, I would be, I wouldn't do it now, but like when I was 23, sure.
Did you have the energy to do that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's it. I had the energy to start Twit in my 40s. Or was it my 50s? No, in my 40s.
It wasn't your 50s, sir.
I don't think I could do it now. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg.
Green stories.
Section 230 turncoat.
This is negative. I put this one up. I'm pissed.
So tomorrow, all of the executives are coming back to testify for Congress, including Sundar Pichai. We'll talk about what he says, which is a lot more tenable, if you ask me. Jack Dorsey of Twitter, Mark Zuckerberg. We have their written statements ahead of time. Zuckerberg basically pulled the rug out from under Section 230, which protects platforms, allows them to moderate, says they can't be sued for stuff people put on Facebook or Twitter or our chat room or our forums and that kind of thing. We're not liable for that, and we can moderate it without becoming a publisher. It's really as you say, Jeff, what is it? The 13 words that created the internet.
26.
It's some number of words.
Just double it.
You are almost there.
I only read half of it. I got
You were halfway there.
I read the snippet posted on the Google site.
Yeah, that's all you needed to know.
That's all I needed to know. So Zuckerberg, now he's not saying abandon Section 230, but he said, what we should do is you should earn your right. There's the problem right there. Earn your right to Section 230 by showing that you have a good moderation scheme. And that's exactly not what Section 230 is all about. Yes, I'm going to attempt to moderate our chat room or moderate our forums. Well, the reason Mark likes it is because he's a winner. Anybody with the money that Facebook has can easily show a best practices plan to moderate, whether it works, whether they do it. That doesn't matter. But if you're a small, you're just some guy who wants to start a forum about opening toys, you may not have the means to do full moderation, something that would satisfy Congress. You shouldn't have to earn 230 is, I guess, the point.
Thank you. Well said. Can you make a bumper sticker out of that?
Yeah. Let's hope Congress does not listen. Now, Pichai, I thought, was good at defending the free internet and 230. Let's see.
Without Section 230, platforms would either overfilter content or not be able to filter content at all.
Perfect. Exactly. So he said, you should have a content policy that's clear and accessible. We have that. That's not hard to do. Should notify people when content is removed. Yes. And give them ways to appeal. Okay, maybe. But of course, Section 230 may or may not be under attack. Who will be under attack, not only at this testimony tomorrow, but in general, we're seeing strong signals from the Biden administration that he is very much interested in going after big tech. The latest, they're floating a name. It's not, I don't see it. Is it in the, what line number is that?
Is this Lina Khan?
I don't know. You have the magic radar where you can find this stuff. I'm not giving you another line number, man.
Lina Khan, who is, this is the headline from The Verge. Biden to nominate tech antitrust pioneer Lina Khan for FTC commissioner. She's very well known.
She's very interesting. She came to the fore just 4 or 5 years ago for a paper young. She wrote as her thesis.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a really good paper. All about reevaluating how we think about monopolies with Amazon. Yeah. In talk about, to me, this is very inspiring. This is like this idea that if you are truly deeply passionate about thinking about a big issue and you delve into the research and you create something, she's really moving the needle with this. I think it's kind of an inspiring story.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah. And we want thoughtful people. We don't, I mean, this is the problem with the Section 230 regulations. It's very knee jerk. It depends on, how you feel about deplatforming conservatives and things like that. We want people who are thoughtful, who are really saying, what can we do to do this right? And
now she may be all wrong, and who knows, but I think
at least she's thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah. But now, so that's Tim Wu, Lina Khan.
Yeah, Tim Wu bothers me more because Tim Wu, as I think I said last week, I read a paper of his from 10 years ago, and people have been starting talking about this too, is that he says he questions whether the First Amendment is obsolete.
Oy.
He questions whether the platform should be held to a journalistic standard.
All right.
This just doesn't work.
Well, again, I mean, he's a smart guy.
What we have isn't working, and I think...
Yeah. We need to think about what we've got and what we want.
The First Amendment, I'm not giving up on the First Amendment. Sorry.
Well, I'm not giving up on the First. But
that's what he's ready to give up on the First Amendment. That puts my alarms going whoop, 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 whoop.
Maybe it's just a way of saying everything is up for grabs. We should really rethink.
He wrote a whole
everything.
paper about it.
Yeah. It
wasn't just
for 10 years ago?
Well, he still has been saying it.
Oh, okay.
It's not an instant decision. Like I just wrote a tweet saying, "Hey, maybe it's obsolete." Oh, what do you think about
don't
that?
Trust tweets.
I was just being provocative.
Yeah,
no,
don't just tweets.
He's been talking about
paper is a big deal. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. One cabinet member does not a summer make. Let's see. All right. Let's talk about Medium a little bit because it's not completely clear what's going on there. But this morning I woke up to news that and this is I think you can safely say this is anti-union sentiment from Ev Williams, the founder of Medium, that they've decided not to continue with their own in-house journalistic endeavors. They have quite a few. 10 Debugger. You've written for Debugger. I know Jason's written for 10. Megan Maroney is an editor at 10.
10.
All the people who work for 10 were offered buyouts. And the impression I got from the internal email was that those publications were just going to go away and that those people who currently worked for those publications would be allowed to continue on as editors for people like Jeff, contributors to Medium, but not for in-house publications.
Don't you edit my posts. Don't you touch them.
Team, writes Ev, we are making some changes to our editorial strategy and leadership and giving a voluntary exit option to employees who would like to take different paths. Jeff, what does this mean? Some people are saying we have to point out that there was a unionization effort in Medium that failed by a very close vote.
By one vote.
And that all of the people who just got pink slips in effect were very strong advocates of that kind of unionization. So
But the union did fail, and so it wasn't there. So
but it wasn't a case of
firing people who. No, it's. I saw a labor lawyer say no. This is perfectly within his rights, and he wasn't firing people for organizing. The vote went through. The vote failed. He's not firing people. He's saying, "I'm giving you buyouts if you want." Here they are.
Yeah, and he isn't firing people. It's just a buyout.
That's a proper. I think it's more likely. Ev is the pivot meister. He has pivoted this sucker a number of times because Ev's trying to find a model and he still frankly hasn't found it yet, right? So he started off.
Journalism's expensive.
Well, it's not even just journalism. You can be writing anything you want. It's a blog platform. It's a platisher, as that horrible word made.
But what these things were like 10, these were really like journalistic entities.
They were good journalistic efforts. They were very good. But he's trying to make a business. He started trying to do a new kind of advertising. He gave up on advertising entirely. He's rejected advertising entirely. So everything we talked about before, hey, get rid of advertising. Okay, Ev did it. So Ev says to people, pay, was it $5 a month? And Leo Laporte growled about that. And then he splits it up against all the parties. And the more audience he gets to pay, the kind of better he is. But was the investment in those efforts worth it or not? Then the other part that people are talking about is this may be a very Substack reaction, that past publications is the what do you call it? Not the solitary writer, the sovereign writer.
Sovereign writer, yeah.
Right. That's where, I'm not going to say the future is. That's ridiculous. But at least the current fad is the individuals, and that's where they have the money and opportunity. I don't really know.
He's offering, he's generous. He's offering a lump sum payment of 5 months' salary, 6 months of health benefits.
Healthcare is the big one, too.
Yeah. So that's generous. It's certainly time to find another job. He says, what about our pubs? Honestly, I think it will take a lot more experimentation to find out what their role is on the platform. So it doesn't sound like he's shutting them down. He does say we need to experiment more efficiently than we have been to date. I can see more focused, high-affinity publications working well as part of the Medium bundle.
Yeah, the way I've always said, Ev has changed the world twice, right? He started Blogger, which was the first major kind of retail blogging platform, by no means the first. And
UPS guy's here, Stacy.
What could they be bringing? And I think it was really important. It brought me into blogging. It changed my view of media and my career in life. And then Twitter, of course, co-founder of Twitter, which changed the world again. And my joke is that Ev is paying penance by trying to start Medium, where people write at length without the time crush. But he's trying to make this work. He just hasn't hit the right formula yet. But he could have given up a couple of years ago.
He says this means identifying writers. You're right. This sounds like a Substack play. This means identifying writers both already on Medium or not, and offering them deals, support, editing, and feedback to help them tell great stories and find their audiences. So instead of focusing on publication, focusing on the bylines, the individuals. That sounds sensible. That's acknowledging that we live in a Substack world where people pay money for a particular person's work as opposed to a publication's work. Is that, Stacey, you kind of have gone through this transition. Do you think that that's really the future of journalism, of writing?
Okay, this almost prompted me to drink last night. I was so sad about everybody I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the future is for journalists. I know that not everybody can do what I do because I have a niche that is enterprisey, right? And if I only did the smart home stuff, I couldn't do what I do. So I don't know what the future is.
I wonder if maybe Jeff, you can comment too, but I wonder if being a journalist going forward means not getting the skills, the chops, and then working your way up through a different publications till you get, the New York Times job or the Wall Street Journal job, and you're an employee your whole life, to more like, and this kind of seems like the world's working a little more like this, being working on your brand and working your brand up.
I think it's more entrepreneurial than trying to work for that dream job.
But as you point out, as Stacey points out, not everybody is entrepreneurial, except maybe that's now. I mean, that's what they call your department, is the School of Entrepreneurial Journalism, right?
Well, yeah, but we've changed that view, right? And I think Ant's right, but I had to change my view of entrepreneurship. I know you're an employee or you're a freelancer was the world we had. Then on the other end, it's entrepreneurial. I'm going to start a new company. I'm going to start Vox. Right? Well, that's really hard. Even if
that's not it either.
A local blog.
It's the sovereign. It's the sovereign. This is
right. So what we're doing now is we changed our entrepreneurial program completely. Used to be a certificate and a degree. Now it's 100-day only online, which pre-COVID we planned it that way, run by Jeremy Kaplan. And you learn how to do your own thing using the platforms that exist, using Medium and Substack and YouTube and Patreon. And you directly serve a market or community. And that's the key, I think. It could be a podcast. It could be book contracts, too. It could be speaking gigs. Lots of different things.
If you're Danielle Steele, let's say, or some massively successful novelist, should you just publish your own novels and hope that you can find an audience?
There yet. No, I don't think you're there. In fact, at the end of Gutenberg, the Gutenberg Parenthesis, which is the book I'm hoping somebody will actually respond to me about, I recant my view about books. I said in what would Google do, that books should be updatable and linkable and clickable and searchable. And I say I was wrong. I think books took a long time to get to be what a book is, and there's value in it.
Well, but also more than that, and Stacey, I think you'd agree. The skill of a writer is writing, not business. The skill of a journalist like you, Stacey, is digging, finding the story, doing the research, and writing the story. Why should you also have these unrelated skills of I can start a business and I can market myself and I can build a brand? Those are all unrelated skills. Do we have to have all the skills in one now?
I wonder if the future economy, you need to have that like you have the ability to pay your bills personally, right? Like everybody has to, you may not be great at it, but you have to do it. So like some entrepreneurial, so even more important, I would say, than coding is an understanding of the basics of how to build a business in terms of like, how to create an LLC for yourself, how to invoice people, how to run basic accounts. Because I think, even if you're like a Fiverr or a DoorDash delivery person, you have to like track your own expenses. You have to manage your own, 10 whatevers. And I think those are skills that they suck. They're no fun.
But you got to do it. It's part of life.
So,
yeah, you have to pay your taxes. Nobody wants to be.
You can hire an accountant, but at some point in time, So I feel like you may, as journalists, we're going to have to build that into the curriculum, not just as journalists. I think this is going to be going forward.
I used to argue for this in high school when I was a trustee at the high school. I used to argue that the new way of work was going to be gig working, and and that you really needed to develop entrepreneurial is not the right thing, but an independent mindset. And what's interesting is how people like Ev are saying, well, we can, or Jack Conte at Patreon, we can create the backbone that will facilitate this so you don't have to do it all. But what you are responsible for is creating your brand, your persona. I guess you always, I think Danielle,
and your relationship with your public.
Your relationship with your audience. And Danielle Steele had to do that. The publisher provided her with an editor and a printing press and distribution and a bookstore. But she still had to do all the hard work of creating Danielle Steele.
So last week, we talked a little bit about Facebook trying to serve these folks, and I heard some more sense about this. And interestingly, my presumption was, okay, it'll all be in the Facebook walled garden. They want to help people start their own websites independently on their own.
Wow.
And then use Facebook in ways that are beneficial.
As promotional material.
Yeah. And I think the other benefit of Facebook too, that I wish media companies would get their heads around, is community, obviously. Right?
Yeah.
That you can have a place where you can talk with people that can ask you questions.
And I've always said that that's what Twit was.
Community
is about
king,
community.
Man.
Yeah.
Community is king. It's about, like, I believe you said this last week, of having, not saying having 100,000 subscribers, but having that 1,000 really loyal super.
Kevin Kelly's 1,000 fans. Yeah. Well, Ant, you do this. Every photographer photographers have been on the leading edge of this, because you haven't been able to make a living working for a newspaper or magazine in some years. So if you're a photographer, you've been on your own, at least in the last 10, 15 years. You've been on your own. And every photographer I know has a variety of skills and variety of things they do to support themselves.
Seems like every photographer I know is a former IT person on some
You're
level.
right. Trey Ratcliffe, you're right. You're right. Chris Marquardt, you're right.
So I don't think I've ever asked you, Ant, what did you want to be when you grew up?
One of the things, I used to want to be a scientist, because I
too late.
Watching cartoons.
Too late.
And, no.
There's no beaker in your future.
No. Chemistry made me want to retire from the science world.
But seriously, do you see yourself as a podcaster or as a writer, as a photographer? I think maybe even those labels don't apply anymore, do they?
I see myself, as my bio says, a digital content creator.
Yeah, that's probably
I
good.
am never going to sit here and say that I am just solely a photographer, because I can do more than just click the shutter. I can also do retouching and finishing of photos, even though I didn't take the photograph. I can also edit video. I can write a little bit, you know. So I'm a digital content creator because I didn't want to lock myself in and be out of work.
So, and Stacey, you had to do that. You had to figure out what you brought to the table, what your skills were, and what people would support you doing, right?
Sort of, yes. Yes.
Or did you just say, here's what I want to do? And that's what I did, by the way. I didn't think about it. I just said, here's what I want to do. I hope it works.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit more planning, but yes, I did kind of just say, it was less, here's what I want to do, but also just here's what I can do.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's very realistic. That's practical. Yeah. You can't buy a chateau and become a 24-hour a day YouTuber.
Right. I would die. Like, that is like my nightmare you're describing.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, to actually share your life.
Well, yeah. And yeah.
I think about my kids who are really struggling, but honestly, I think I ill prepared them. And God, if anybody should have prepared them better, it would have been me for this world. You know,
same here.
They don't, I think kids coming out of college in the last 5 years are, you know, rubbing their eyes going, what the hell?
Yeah.
This isn't what they told me to expect.
Yeah.
Well, the other problem is that old farts like us stick around.
Yeah, we're getting in the way. That's all right.
Yeah.
I won't be here much longer. Relatively speaking. I think, so what? You would teach a kid, so you Aunt, you and Stacey both have children still young enough to be molded. Mm-hmm. Teach a kid how to do a website?
Well, I would
teach
her how
to edit video? No.
Yes, and yes.
I have.
Or no,
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughter knows how to create a website. She can edit video. She can edit audio.
That's good. She's well prepared for something. Then you also have to teach them how to market.
Mm-hmm. My youngest hardhead is a really good photographer, and he got started 5-6 years ago as a middle schooler and elementary school kid. I got him a very, very inexpensive point and shoot camera because he saw dad with a camera and he wanted one, and I went to the pawn shop, got him a little cheap camera, and he loved it, and he still shoots to this day. In his free time, he does a lot of fashion stuff, if you will. So he's been able to get into that world and understand how to get into Lightroom and Photoshop and work on things. And now he's doing this this brand called Provider, where he's doing some embroidery stuff. He bought himself a sewing
that's
machine.
So cool. You must be really proud. That's awesome.
And he's knocking it out. In addition to going to class.
What social platforms does he use?
What's it? Snapchat and Instagram.
Yeah.
Snapchat and Instagram.
My daughter's really into Instagram. My son more into TikTok. But actually, now that I think about it, even though I did not prepare them well, they have managed to figure out that they're going to have to do their own businesses. And they're going to have to, yeah.
And my senior hardhead, he's signed a letter of intent to go to college because he's wanting to get into kinesiology. And
so he's
thinking,
discussions. He's planning.
Right. And our thinking on that is, hey, you really need to dig deep on this stuff right now and get as much information as you can, because I want you to be prepared before you go to college and while you're in college. And when it's time to get out of there, you're going to be even more prepared because you got more skills and understand entrepreneurship, just in case you were able to go out and just start your own practice or get picked up somewhere else. And they've been pretty diligent about that. So yeah, right now I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Good job, Aunt.
Because I've been in their heads for a very long time. Yeah. And we just had a conversation a couple weeks ago, back before COVID really, really kicked off here in this area. I remember telling them one morning, hey, I need y'all to get in habit of working from home. I said, I've been working from home for most of your life. You're not used to that. Most people in our family is not used to the work from home life. I want you to get into a habit. So I got them up every day for their class and made sure they went to a certain spot.
Good for you.
It was routine. And now they're used to it. And when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I said, that was a year ago. And now it's just
come to think of it, this year hasn't been wasted for that generation, because it did teach them that, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Come to think of it. And how to be a self-starter, how to get up in the morning and go to sit down at the computer.
I do not check on them for school. I don't even think twice about it because I know they're up.
They have to learn how to do that by themselves because you won't always be there to do it for them.
That's right.
You know, we're also speaking from a privileged position because a lot of kids should get a trade, should go to trade school, should be a carpenter or a plumber or learn how to, you know, hoe a field or something because we need that too. God knows.
About that, Mr. LaPorte.
We need a lot more farmers than we need web developers, come to think of it.
I have a washer and dryer that's as old as they are.
Yeah.
And I refuse to buy a new one
keep it working.
Those things can be fixed.
Good for you.
So when something goes wrong, they're in there with me, figuring out how to fix those daggum things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I teach them that too.
Yeah. It's been a while since, for the longest time in history, I guess you just did what your parents did. Right?
Right.
And then
or whatever neighbor had an apprenticeship open.
Yeah. If you're Ben Franklin, you got a job, you got an apprenticeship with a printer and you learned how to do that. Then in the last 100 years, that started to become more fluid, but there was still always the notion of you'd get out of college. I remember when I got out of college, there were recruiters from DuPont and Dow and other companies
that are living through chemistry.
Bosch, BASF.
Yeah. They would go in the gym with a table. Oh yeah, my major was real useful, Chinese studies.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You told us that. Yes.
But there'd be gym and there'd be tables, and you'd go around, and the recruiters would be there, and you try to get a job with a company, and you spend the rest of your life there to earn the gold watch. So when did this change? It's changed with the internet. It's pretty recent.
I think so.
Yeah, it changed before the internet. You started seeing layoffs prior to that with the deaths of pensions and corporate buyouts and that sort of thing. I mean, think about the 80s and the financial markets there. I will also say, I don't know that everyone in like my daughter's generation so far is oriented around money in the way
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
that we were as kids.
Different. It's definitely different for us.
What does she think about it? Does she think I need to make a living?
Well, yeah, she knows she needs it, but she also, her highest goal is to live in a forest in a cottage. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's her highest goal. That's not bad. That's her special place. That's not bad.
If there's fiber to the home, okay.
Yeah, she's like, she needs a broadband connection, but she doesn't really like clothes. She doesn't really like a lot of things. So she might actually be just fine doing that. I don't know. I mean, the other thing is...
I just bought go ahead. Sorry, Stacey.
Oh, I was just going to say is, she hasn't wanted for things in her life. So if you have wanted for things in your life, money is obviously going to be much more of a priority.
Yes, that's absolutely true. The people I know who are best at money are people who had no money as kids and made the decision, I am not going to go through that.
Right.
So I just bought a book called The Sovereign Individual.
Oh, perfect.
From 1997. It's coming tomorrow. But I saw a Twitter stream about it saying that, darn, these guys predicted all of this, including gig work, including the challenges to the nation and the nation state. I take that kind of prediction with a grain of salt, but it's interesting because it came from 20 years ago and it'll be interesting to see how people interpreted the beginning of the net age and what's come about from it.
Or you can just sell your first tweet as an NFT, and then you'll never have to work again. Jack Dorsey's.
Does he work now?
You can grow your beard and live in a house in the forest. Jack Dorsey's first tweet sold. It was 2.5 million the last time we checked. Apparently the bidding went a little higher. The same guy who was on top for weeks, Sina Estavi, got it for 291583547, which I'm guessing was his childhood phone number, or I don't know what it was. But it's an oddly specific number. He held the high bid for quite some time. I guess there was a little flurry.
And the money's going to what? Jack's donated the money.
Yeah. Jack's donating it to a charity. I don't
forget.
Yeah, I'll find it. It's in the
online
article.
something.
Donate it to Give Directly for its Africa response. So Give
Jack
Direct
was going to move to Africa, remember?
Yeah.
And then the pandemic.
yeah, that's right.
So it goes directly to people living in poverty. It's kind of one of those, kind of charities that says, no, the best thing you do is just give people money and let them get on their feet.
Let them figure it out.
Yeah, let them figure it out. So
Leo, can we do the Twitter survey? I'm curious to hear your answer.
Yeah, as long as we're talking about Twitter.
Do you need to do a ad first, or
I think I'm caught up on ads. I think I have one more. Good. Yeah.
I would tell you the line number, but I bet you can find it on your own.
So actually, the link you put in doesn't have the survey. I had to read this.
Oh,
it's the calling for public input on our approach to world leaders. Of course, the world leader they're talking about is Donald Trump, who, by the way,
English in that works.
Who, by the way, I have to point out, the world has been a much calmer, quieter place since he stopped tweeting.
Indeed.
In fact, now the Donald is, according to his spokesman, starting his own social platform. No, you don't think so?
I can't say that.
I think that daily 40 tweet stream has really put us all on our on our tippy toes every day.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, but then again, I'm also the person that never really saw activity from that guy unless people brought it to my attention.
Yeah, I didn't follow him after a while, but
stuff.
But how could you not get it brought to your attention? That's all the news talked about is the latest tweets from the president. It just got very quiet, and it's been very pleasant. So here we go. We are going to do the survey. Twitter wants your input on how we should shape our policies and enforce our rules about world leaders' participation in the public conversation. And I think some of this is maybe they're stinging a little bit because after they did ban President Trump, the world got to be quieter and better. And maybe some people, I certainly thought, Twitter was a little bit to blame for what happened over the last 4 years.
Should they have done it earlier?
Yeah, should they have done it earlier?
Or are they wrong and bring him back?
So I take it no one here is under 16. Now, here's a random sample of hypothetical situations. Consider the following hypothetical situation. You see a tweet from a regular Twitter user, who's located in your country.
Been podcasted long?
I have been doing this a little too long. The tweet contains misleading information about COVID-19 in a different country. It's from their personal account. This is their third violation of the Twitter rules. What action should Twitter take? Should it take no action? Should it not delete the tweet but apply a label? Should they not delete the tweet but block others from liking, retweeting, or commenting on the tweet? Gosh, I want to do both of those. Should require the account holder to delete the tweet before they can tweet again or permanently suspend the account immediately. Stacey?
Your survey looks different from mine.
Yeah, each one is...
Yeah, it's randomly
generated.
Oh, it's random. Okay, great.
So you'll get a different situation. What would you do?
Okay. I was not paying attention.
Okay.
Sorry.
Miss Higginbotham, eyes up front, please.
Eyes front.
Eyes front. Aunt, what would you do?
TikToking?
No.
Phoenix Warp in our chat room says, it's simple. If they violate the TOS, ban them.
What do you say?
I think they should both apply a label describing the rule violation and block others from liking, retweeting, or commenting, because you kind of want to damp down the spread of it, and you want to give people the information. I'm not sure I would delete the tweet because it's misleading information about COVID-19. It's not. I mean, I think this is based on the content of it, not on the rules violation or whatever.
And what do you say?
I'm pretty much right there with Mr. Laporte because don't necessarily want it deleted because I think there is value in knowing what's said and how if someone says something just absolutely heinous, it's nice to know that you know who that person was that said it. I think there's value in that. So I wouldn't say delete it, but definitely label it.
And by the way, if you delete the account or then he's just going to create another account.
Yeah, there's that too.
Or go to Parler.
I'm tougher than you guys. I would require him to delete the tweet before he can tweet again.
But you would not suspend him.
Not on this case, probably.
Okay. Let's try
By
another
the way, I
one.
presumed it was a him, by the way, because misinformation comes from men. But
Yes.
keep going.
Miss Higginbotham, if you'll pay attention now.
I am now paying attention.
I'm teasing you. I don't blame you. I lost interest years ago. I completely understand.
No, I was trying to find the survey, and
It's line. What line is it, Jeff? You got to give her the line. Apparently, it's line 69.
I need the line for life.
Line 69. You are a regional state governor in our country. You are tweeting misleading. Oh, this is the same one. Misleading information about COVID-19 in another country, but this is from an official government account, and it's your first violation.
First violation.
Oh,
Stacey, you get to go first.
Yeah, you should. Oh, not delete. Okay,
Same choices.
definitely. Okay, not delete. Oh, you went away from the choices. I was reading them.
Show the choices again, John, if you
The
would.
middle choices. I think not delete. I think you should not delete, but you should label and then block everybody from
Yeah.
liking, retweeting.
So
and then
far, you
should
agree
yell
with
at them.
me on both of those. I think
Yeah,
that's the right
those
thing to
two.
do. Yeah.
Yep. those two.
Because it's a governmental account, I'm going to say you should delete the tweet. You should require him to delete the tweet because it has a more significant.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's
okay.
very important.
Oh, because
kind
of
asked
the
about that.
reach.
That's important. You're saying that government should be held to a higher standard than users.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But they're not talking about their own stuff. Like if this government were like, if it was like the state of Utah talking about things happening in Utah, I'd be like, yeah, you should delete that tweet.
Well,
But
that
if it's
that
the state
one,
of Utah
yeah.
talking about Spain, I'd be like,
But why is he tweeting about Spain except to send a message to Utahnians, right? He's the governor. Anything he tweets on his official account is a message from the government. And if he's tweeting about COVID somewhere else, there's a point to that, to say it's a communication to his constituents.
okay, well, let's say Joe Biden is tweeting something about, maybe it's not COVID-19 related, but maybe he's trying to tell us something about China that isn't actually true. But, governments sometimes do lie to their citizens.
That's
or
interesting.
mislead them.
Okay.
But it's a formal policy decision.
Ah,
Maybe Utah wants to go to war with Spain.
yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Then in that case, I don't think you do anything.
No, I still think you should label them.
Label it. Say,
I'd go for
Profoundly.
label.
yeah.
Well, Mr. Laporte, you mentioned with them being government having more.
That's a higher responsibility.
Did my camera die?
No, I'm seeing you. I don't know what happened. I think
sorry.
our buttons
There it is.
failed.
You were speaking about him being in government and having a bigger, a large reach and more importance, I guess. But what about these celebrities that have way more following and just as big a reach? Is it
That's that 9-year-old kid.
Or
Right.
Christy Teigen.
Chrissy Teigen,
Yeah, but it's Chrissy Teigen. I mean, I don't think
But people take what those celebrities say as gospel.
that's not
I
their
see
fault.
it every day.
That's people's fault. They're stupid. They shouldn't pay attention to it just because they're famous.
Tell us how you really feel.
Stupid people. I don't care. I don't want to protect them.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey is going to be the next governor of Texas. Jeez.
Yeah, there's that.
All right. By the way,
Something else
he's
I
not,
want to
is
point
he?
out. Yeah, he is.
He just said he hasn't ruled out.
Yeah.
Well,
He hasn't
Stacey,
running.
you're from the great state of Texas. You think he has a chance?
I mean, I honestly think he couldn't be worse than Abbott. Because Abbott doesn't. I mean,
I think we need to make a rule in this country. Stop electing celebrities and billionaires.
Yes.
well, hold
I
on.
agree.
Hold up.
It's a bad
We're
idea.
assuming that because Matthew McConaughey is kind of a vapid celebrity, he may not actually be
He
that.
lives in a
vapid.
van by the
He has
river.
no qualifications.
I'm just saying,
no
being
comment
a
on
celebrity does not mean you can't be smart
no,
enough.
but
I'm
it's
not
not a
saying that Matthew
qualification on its
Not a
own, on the face of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, do I
All right,
think
back
Matthew
to the survey.
Anyway,
I'm
Goes
curious to see
this
when you all get this question, because the first two that popped up on my survey, they both says the tweet contains an ethnic slur about a group or people in our country.
We didn't get that.
My very first two, they have that in there.
They knew
And
you were
yes,
black. They just
Right.
they're going after you. What's your FLoC cohort? That's the question you have.
Oh, I think I'm B48.
Oh, we're gonna get it for that one. That's if it were a hate tweet, take it down and suspend the account. Hate tweets, period.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Zero
Done.
tolerance.
Zero
Well, but it
tolerance.
depends on who you're hating on. Is part of the argument, right? This is part of what.
If you're hating on
Facebook's
Nazis, I guess
rules,
it's okay to hate on Nazis.
right? But part of Facebook's new rules in dealing with bad governments is that it's okay to praise a violent organization if it's a revolutionary organization against a bad government.
Well, that's true. Like the freedom fighters in 1776.
Right. Ben Franklin on Twitter. That would have worked well. Poor Richard would have worked perfectly.
Perfect. All right, one more because I don't want this is endless. A tweet is from a representative in the national legislature of another country, not ours. Hateful speech about a group of people in your country. I hate those Texans. They talk funny. The tweet comes not from their official account, but from a personal account, but it is the 5th violation of the Twitter rules. You don't talk bad about people in Texas, permanently suspend the account immediately.
It's hateful speech about a group of people in my country?
Our country.
Yes.
How dare you?
And they're not from here.
Oh, okay. I would want to know that my legislator was a racist. I would say
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Delete.
There's value in knowing the shortcomings of some of these people out here that are leaders. You know?
Yeah, I would block. I would not delete it, but I won't let people like it or retweet it or comment it. I mean, unless they're calling for violent action, I'm sorry. I don't think, and I don't want them to be able to pull if they tweet at Ant and they say something bad about Black people, I don't want Ant's mentions to go all crazy, right? So I don't want that to affect him.
But I think you're right. The constituents have a right to know that their representative is a hee-haw. So, yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of why I didn't delete the first one either, because that's public. That's.
See,
but it is their 5th. It's their 5th violation.
5th violation.
I don't like these options. I wish we could combine the second and third option.
But really, that's not the point of this, and it's very obvious what the point is.
Yeah.
See, it's hard.
Yeah, that's what it is. And that's what's great about this. It shows you the nuance.
See, it's hard. You keep saying we should do stuff, but it's not easy. What do you do? That's the point of it. I think. I don't think.
I think we've actually said that on this show a couple times.
It is hard.
Though.
It's very hard.
Just for curiosity, Leo, hit the next one just to see what the question is.
I already closed it.
Oh, you did. Oh, Jesus.
Here, I'll tell you. One of mine is this tweet is from a candidate for the National Head of Defense. The author is in another country.
Okay.
The tweet contains hateful speech about a group of people in another country.
Okay.
It's their personal account, and it's their, again, 5th violation of the Twitter rules.
This probably happens a lot.
Well, yeah, the National Head of Defense. I mean, those are the people who want to go with war.
The Saudi defense the Saudi defense minister is saying the Israelis have got to stop mistreating Palestinians or have to end their occupation of the West Bank.
So you might not have to take anything.
I think that's on them.
All right, I've got the perfect one.
All right.
A representative in the national legislature in your country has false claims that an election was stolen in your country from an official government account. It's the 5th violation.
Who would that be?
It's only their 5th?
Do you love
500th?
Do you love Sydney? Was it Sydney Blumenthal? Do you love her defense of she's being Sidney Powell, rather. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know who Blumenthal is. Her defense of her contention the election was stolen and there was massive fraud. She's being sued, of course, by Dominion. Her defense is, well, nobody would believe what I said.
Except for 80% of Republican voters.
Nobody would believe that.
Silly country.
Silly. No reasonable person would accept my statement as fact. It's merely an expression of an opinion. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Sidney
right.
Blumenthal was like an editorial writer, I think, from way back when. I feel like that's a real person, and if it is, I apologize for
the senator's cousin.
Yeah, I don't know. American journalist and political operative, former aide to Bill Clinton, longtime confidant of Hillary Clinton. So, Yeah, there is a Sidney
All right.
Blumenthal, but that's not who said it. All right. Do we have any line numbers to reiterate or consult or anything?
So now he's back to line.
Changelog.
Oh, thank you. You're right. I left out the changelog. It's time for. We'll do this quick, folks, because there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
The Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
How fast can you do it? Let's see.
Has Gmail been crashing on your phone? Google's fixing it.
Done.
Line 2. Chromebooks are getting Android 11 in beta with dark mode support and better app scaling. Line 3. Stadia open sources some of its dev tools. Line 4. Google updates chat UI for workspace users to match personal accounts. Whatever that means. Wait a minute. That might be useful for you. Does that help you, Jeff? Your chat UI in your workspace, because you're using G Suite or Workspace.
I don't use
now.
their chat, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, but it would match now your personal account.
Well, good.
So that's a beginning of a unification. So
yeah, sure.
And that's the Google changelog.
Record time.
Hey, Taco Bell did buy a social media ordering company. And it's also bought an AI insights company. What is going on? By the way, the name of the social media ordering platform is TikTok.
Okay.
As the owner of FLoC, I am upset. TikTok, TICTUK, allows customers to order food while on social media. How lazy do you have to be to order your Taco Bell in a tweet? That is so freaking lazy. Although, if you're Taco Bell, you like that because other people might see your order and say,
that's right.
Good idea. Earlier, they bought Quantum. Quantum that's literally how it's spelled. KVANTUM uses artificial intelligence for consumer insights and marketing performance analytics. By the way, TikTok's parent company is called Yum.
You mean Taco Bell's parent company? Or the new TikTok's right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
TikTok.
Yum Brands.
No, it's confusing. TB's owner is Yum Brands.
Yum's in Louisville, I believe.
Are they?
They also own, don't they own KFC?
Yep.
KFC,
yep.
yeah. Yeah, they're in Louisville.
And Pizza Hut and Habit Burger Grill, which is quite good.
Yes, it is, actually.
Yeah, I like the Habit.
I like Habit. I haven't been there in a year. I'm debating whether to actually go.
I know.
I know Stacy's
the one near my home is
disapproving of
bad.
me right now. I can feel it.
I'm not disapproving of you.
Look.
No.
Prince Harry's got a job. Now that Meghan's pregnant,
More than one.
I should get a job. His new job title, Chief Impact Officer at Better Up, which is an employee coaching and mental health startup. Chief Impact Officer. See, Harry's an example of a kid who wasn't brought up thinking you gotta do a gig work thing. You gotta build your brand.
Look, he's trying to learn how to do it now.
He thought he'd be working for the family business.
The company
didn't work out.
The
firm didn't work out. They call it the firm, don't they?
Yeah.
The royal family in England, the firm. He calls it the firm, I guess. That's what he said.
I saw a great video on TikTok, guy doing the diversity training in the castle.
Oh, jeez. This is a joke, obviously.
Oh yeah.
They're
going to hire a diversity czar.
Yeah, I'll look for that one. one. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to do the picks of the week, and then we will get an update if that boat is still blocking.
Oh, good.
The Suez Canal. I think we can go to a live nav map and find out. The Ever Given. The Ever Stuck. They expect transit to resume sometime Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, it's still stuck.
It's still stuck. Wow.
It's okay. It has a digital twin. Segway.
What?
Oh, you're talking about forward networks. Good job, man. Good job. You used to run networks. Well, you've been an sysadmin. Networks, especially nowadays, they are kind of black boxes. You know what you've got on-prem, and then it goes up to the cloud, and maybe you've got multi-homes, and then it goes from the cloud to the edge. Then it's on the endpoints, and then your users, and it's a great mystery. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a mathematical model in software of your entire network that was kept up to date, that was completely accurate? That's what Forward Networks does. Created by 4 Stanford PhD students 7 years ago. They said, we feel bad for these guys who are trying to figure out what's going on in their network, the great mysteries of their network. So they sought to apply principles of modern software development to network. They created a digital twin, an accurate, completely 100% up-to-date, in real-time mathematical model, a single source of truth for how your network works. Now, what can you do with it? Well, you could look at it. Actually, they have tools to do this and verify that the network's configured correctly, is in compliant with your policies, is behaving as you intend. If they have this thing called behavior diffs, I love this so much. You know what a diff is when you have 2 text files, you compare them with a diff. They have behavior diffs that will allow the same thing, side-by-side comparisons, to see what's going to happen when you change a config file, for instance, between any points in time. This is our existing network. This is the change network. What are the diffs, and how is this going to impact network performance? Imagine knowing ahead of time before you change those BGP routing tables and bring all of the network traffic to a small town in Maine. Imagine knowing that ahead of time. You can accurately predict the impact of a proposed change across every possible traffic path. That means you roll out changes with confidence. You keep your network healthy and agile. You can search network behavior. You can search configuration and state network-wide. It's got a very nice, intuitive, powerful search tool. Perform end-to-end path analyses across your network, both including, by the way, on-prem and cloud infrastructure. You can proactively identify potential connectivity and security policy violations. This is amazing. 50% faster resolution of network trouble tickets on average, 90% faster fixes related to audit processes, 33% reduction in aborted network updates due to identified errors, and 100% reduction in embarrassment when you apply a configuration change that brings your company offline. You don't want that to happen. Forward Networks will prevent it. Let me tell you, some of the people who have been using Forward Networks. I love the story about Goldman Sachs. They have a massive network, as you might imagine. They brought in Forward Networks. They were so impressed by the tool, they led their Series C funding round. So Mark Andreessen loves Forward Networks. That's why Andreessen Horowitz also was in that round, and Threshold, committing $65 million. PayPal was having an issue with their network. They thought, gee, maybe we can build a tool that will somehow diagnose these problems. Fortunately, before they did, they found Forward Networks. It did everything they needed. Found the trouble spots, saved them time and money. So many big networks use Forward Networks. Telstra in Australia, Verizon in the U.S., Bank of America, several large unnamed governmental agencies. Look, this is the best way to know what's going on in your network. Get network automation and verification for your intent-based network with Forward Networks. Your business depends on it. There's a great demo waiting for you. Forwardnetworks.com/twit. Forwardnetworks.com/twit. If you're interested, they've got a podcast called Seeking Truth in Networking. I love that name. You'll find it wherever you can get your podcasts. Download it and listen. I think you'll enjoy it. But honestly, I want you to get the demo, because this could save your life. It certainly could save your network. Forwardnetworks.com/twit. This is the kind of software I love. This is what software should do. Can save you a lot of trouble. Forwardnetworks.com/twit. Thank you, Forward Networks, for supporting This Week in Google. Mashed Potato says I should reopen the changelog. Is there anything new, anything different The new Barnes & Noble Nook? Who cares?
Who cares?
Here, let's see a live stream of the situation in the Suez Canal. It's not moving much, is it? You know why? It's not moving. Look at the little bulldozer. Look at the little tiny bulldozer. Gonna move the big fat boat out.
Oh, the memes that can
Keep
come from
digging. Keep digging.
Little witchy bitchy. I'm just trying to find live. This says, well, that's just a single image. I want a live stream. Suez Canal live
a
stream.
live stream of it just sitting there.
Just sitting there. Yeah. Come on. They got to have cameras there.
Well, it's an Instagram account on that Twitter thread. The Instagram account, I don't know if she's refreshed or not, was on the boat behind.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes,
He's an
she's
engineer.
stuck. Her container ship is stuck right there. Actually, there's some really cool. I have some pictures. I'd like to share my photo album from the Suez Canal, if you don't mind. They have bridges that go across it, but they can't.
Stacy, we're going to be here for 3 hours.
Hey, Scooter X has a webcam, sir, in the chat.
Get the slideshow
So here
out.
we are going into the Suez Canal.
Did you know, like, the
Yeah,
toll
lovely
through the
ride.
Suez Canal is like $750,000?
Oh yeah, it ain't cheap to go through the canal. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any refunds on the current trips.
Yeah. Sorry. No. You know, it's this whole thing is expensive. That's a blurry one. There's my boat. Look at that. Look how wide that is. That gives you some idea of how big this Ever Given is if it's crossing the entire width of that canal.
Wow.
That is a
Massive.
big boat. Okay, wait a minute. I think we have a live feed.
It's not much.
A live feed. How to watch
pulls
as
up a
authorities shift stuck ship. No, that's not the live feed. Boy, there are a lot of ads on this. This is just a video.
That's why we need FLoC
Yeah.
and AMP.
AMP and FLoC. It's the Express. Stacy, would you kick things off with your pick of the week?
I will, and it's so relevant for y'all.
How not to
So-
get stuck in a canal.
Well, it's relevant. I actually hadn't thought about telling y'all about this because it didn't seem relevant, but since there's a boat stuck in the Suez Canal, it's totally relevant. I live right up, I can see the sound from my house. So I get to watch the container ships come in, and
Oh,
it's
how
really
fun.
neat. We get to
Yeah.
the other day I saw an what are those called? The big boats for the
Aircraft carrier?
Thank you.
Wow. Cool.
So we saw, it was the Nimitz coming into Bremerton,
neat.
and there was like a plane on it. It was so cool.
Oh,
So-
I'm jealous.
One of the first apps we downloaded, we got our little telescope up so we can watch everything. But the first app we downloaded is something called Marine Traffic. And this is an app that if you sail, you probably already know about it. We paid for the $10 a year subscription. But what it is we just go and you can check the Ever Given on this thing. Everyone else is using Vessel Watch, which is totally fine. It's just I happen to have personal experience with Marine Traffic. So yeah, and the cool thing is on your phone, you can actually, once again, lift your phone, show it the boat, and the data will come up and about that particular boat. So
That's neat.
Yeah, so if you're on the
getting
water
this.
or
This happens all the time. I see when we go on our cruises or we go to the harbor, you see boats and you want to know who owns that or where's it going, where is it from? That sounds like fun.
So yeah, there's a free version and then there's a $10, so $9.99 a year plan that gets you, it's the annual starter pack, and that gets you a little bit more like all the vessel details, the port it's going to, you can track certain vessels.
Yeah,
so
see,
we were
that's what I
tracking
want.
the Nimitz, so we could be like, we wanted to make sure we were there when it was coming in.
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, it's a fun app. And
Marinetraffic.com, iOS or Android.
So
Nice.
There you go.
Cool.
Really nice. And here's the Marine Tracker plot of the Suez Canal, by the way. You can see what's going on. right now.
You can filter out all the ships that are not cargo ships if you want to filter out all the tugs.
Look how many boats are just stuck right at Port Said where they're about to enter. Wow, that's really amazing. Good pick. Very timely. Jeff Jarvis, a number?
So last week I told you about WhaleNet, how once people started hunting whales, the whales learned and obviously somehow communicated with each other in a big like worldwide network, and the killings went down like 58%, right? So we were amazed. This is in the time of what's his name? Who wrote Melville, right? It was the time of Melville.
Yes.
And whalers and all that. Well, this week we find out that humpback whales are organizing in huge numbers and no one knows why.
Do they want to join a union?
I think they are our new masters, and I, for one, welcome them.
I love it. Humpback whales are organizing.
They normally stay in groups of 10 to 20 would be large. They're congregating in groups of 20 to 200 off the coast of South Africa, where they normally aren't either. Experts are stumped.
That is a little bit scary.
Maybe they're consulting, like, what the heck's going on with the climate? Or, hey, is it hard to breathe where you are because of ocean? What's it called when carbon dioxide gets in there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The equivalent of us with a bug in your mouth. You got a plastic bag in your mouth? Don't you hate that? Yeah. So
good one. WhaleNet. The whales are organizing.
And I also put in one just for, and you love flying things generally, right?
I do. I saw this and I appreciate that you put it in there. I've seen it before. And
you have?
Awesome.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How to maintain an airport in Antarctica. I found that fascinating.
Oh, wow. From Flight Radar, which is, by the way, like marine traffic for flights.
It's a great app. I use it all the time.
Flight Radar 24. Troll Research Station, how to operate an airport in Antarctica. Wow.
Trying to keep things warm, but yet cold enough so you can fly off of the runway.
Yeah, you don't want to turn it into slush either. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a pretty awesome video on that link there.
Yeah.
Because they're bringing in freighters. So these are like big planes.
Yeah. They got to get all the food and everything in there for people.
Is that like a Zamboni for the runway?
Yes.
Pretty much.
They cover the runway with snow when they don't use it so it doesn't melt or anything. And then they have to take the snow off.
Yeah, then they have to scrape it.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Wow. It is exactly a Zamboni.
Yeah.
That's hysterical. A mixture of cold water, ice chips, and snow is poured on, allowed to harden, and smoothed over. Just like making an ice rink.
Wow.
Mr. Ant Pruitt, what's your thing this week?
I got a couple things. The first one was, I know some folks have been trying to find that dream job during this pandemic. Well, there's a winery here in Sonoma County that's offering the opportunity to apply for your dream job in wine. And apparently they've done this before. Because they have someone that's still there on their staff that did the same thing with this process. So
are they looking for a social media person? Whatever they looking for?
No, it's whatever you'd like for it to be within wine.
I'd like to drink it, please.
Not just that.
Oh.
But if you're curious about a profession in winemaking, send them a video of what you want to be and why you would be the best person for that job. And apparently they've done this before and it's worked. There's I believe there's a video on that link that I shared.
Yes, there is.
But it was pretty
Murphy
neat.
Good is pretty good wine. I like Murphy Good. Let's see.
Neat.
Boy, they have the worst
free rent for a year.
Upload video of your application. So you have to do a video to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to work and live in Sonoma? Well, you're just up the road a piece. Here you are, looking for a change in career to pursue your passion. Do you want a really good job? This is such good marketing.
Yeah. And rent free.
Is this what it looks like in Sonoma County? Because I'd like to move there too. 6-figure salary and a year's worth of Murphy Good wine. This is all just...
that'll bankrupt them for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. I thought that was really cool.
Any wine goes with cacio e pepe. Any wine at all.
Just whatever can cut the grease. It's good.
As it's red, right?
So they did this last year. So this guy is giving up his seat to let you to take his replacement.
I think that's a good gig.
Yeah. Well, it's only a year though. Well, that's good. That's not bad.
Set you up for something else though. And then the other thing is I've been playing with this travel doc because I've been having some thoughts on my computer here recently, but this is from OWC.
I own that travel doc.
I like it because I've been trying to find something that's going to have an SD card reader because a lot of laptops don't have SD card readers.
Show the bottom.
Anymore.
That's my favorite part.
But this is
the cable.
cool.
Look at that. It goes right in there.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then when you take it out, it still sits nice and neat right there in its own little divot right there.
Mine broke right away.
USB-C.
Yeah, mine stopped working. I don't know if I pulled the cable too hard or something, but
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
But it lets you read.
I was sad because I love it. Yeah,
it lets you read up to UHS-2 SD card. So if you have like a V60 or a V90 SD card for your super high resolution video, I'm moving the wrong way. There we go. Sorry. You're going to be able to pull that data off pretty fast and not have to worry about bottleneck because of that USB-C. It's good stuff.
Nice.
And I think it was $60 or so. Yeah. I can't remember. But
they're good. Otherworld Computing is good. I like their stuff. It works with the iPad as well as any computer with a.
It's usually more on that Mac side of thing, but you
found it worked on a Windows machine and all that?
Mm-hmm.
I never tried it with one, so good.
Yep.
All right.
And then my last one, well, actually, I'll do two quick. My last one will be, my next one will be for Floss. Today, we had Keith Packard on air, and this was a perfectly timed episode for him to be on because of some interesting news regarding Mr. Richard Stallman.
Oh, yeah.
The Free Software Foundation. So make sure you check out Floss Weekly. I think it's episode 622. Let me double check. Yep, episode 622. Check that out. Very, very interesting conversation there on Floss Weekly, twit.tv/Floss. And lastly, if you don't mind, would you click on that link for this here house call? Because it's just a proud moment that I wanted to share.
A house call to the Pruitt house?
That's right.
Oh, no, he's going home. Let's see. Let's play this video. Let me see. Can I go bigger with it?
Oh, you should be able to.
Here it is. Here we go. Is this a hardhead in that outfit? The senior hardhead.
This is the senior hardhead, starting at about 95.
Oh, this was a punt reception or a
kickoff return.
Oh.
Wow.
Is that you, Ant?
That's me yelling.
So Ant sent us all a note saying, I'm going to be a little hoarse at work today. Now I know why.
Beautiful, Ant.
Now I know why.
That is the first kickoff return for that school in about 4 years.
All the way. He might be. He could be. He's going all the way. That's fantastic. Was he really stoked? That's really.
Yeah, we all were. It was, and the game was out of reach at that point. But it was still pretty cool to see that
nobody came even close. He didn't even get touched.
Yeah, he was. He hit the jets. I was quite proud.
He's very fast. The only person near him is his teammate. That's really good.
And also his younger brother, the other hardhead, they had their game the same day. He unfortunately went out early in the fourth quarter because he cramped up. But prior to that, he was kicking butt too at quarterback. He had a 35-yard touchdown.
Are you glad high school football's back?
Touchdown pass and just, I'm pretty pumped right now.
Is it Friday night? Do they do Friday night football?
Yes, sir. Nice. Except this week, the JV team will be playing the Petaluma High School on Friday, but the varsity is not playing until Tuesday. They'll be playing that fancy Cardinal Newman school, I believe.
Oh, they're good, the Cardinal Newman. Yeah.
So I want to see how that goes.
Yeah. Nicholas Montana used to play for them. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'll just throw this one in as a quick pick before we head out. This is an AI experiment from Google, experimentswithgoogle.com, the infinite drum machine.
Oh, dude.
You can play
Does
drums.
this go with the blob opera?
Yeah, if you want some percussion, you can play drums with normal objects from the real world. That's a computer laptop, a magazine. Here's a zipper jacket. Here's a projector slide.
Mr. Howell is just going crazy right now. Oh my gosh!
You see the track below. So you pick what you want. You pick where it goes. You want a truck Land Rover Defender interior clutch release, or maybe let's see. Oh, how about boy, that's good. Food peel, golf club shuffle clatter.
So what is like the green cluster is like sounds, or is that like people made sounds versus?
I have no idea. You're asking me a question. I just
this I am all for this right now because I don't know if you all have ever heard of Timbaland. Timbaland is a masterful producer in hip hop. He also produced Justin Timberlake's album.
I was about to say.
And
I don't know if you've heard of Timbaland.
I have. Yeah, Timbaland.
I know who I'm talking to. Well, he's known as the Emperor of Sound.
Oh,
and his career, he started his career by making sounds of random inanimate things like what you're seeing there on the screen and turning them into great beats and songs. And you would never know that it was a chicken bone snapping or a baby.
Well, this is made for him.
You know, but this stuff, I love this. Put it in the right hands, like say someone like Mr. Howe.
Somebody not me.
Mr. Laporte.
Let's see what the colors are. I don't know. Doesn't really tell you what. I'm sure there's something. It's an open source code project. I like just going through the sounds.
I dig it. Put this in the right hands, and this you come up with some pretty
experiments
cool stuff.
Experiments.withgoogle.com.
What did that say? Jar shake something?
Oh, I can't get back to it because there's so many different sounds. Can I zoom in? Yeah, I can zoom in, but that doesn't.
Casino slide. Go back to casino slide.
Go back? I can't.
Right there. Interesting. Yeah, I would spend way too much time on this.
All right, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this percussive edition of This Week in Google. Thank you so much, Stacey Higginbotham. Stacey on IoT.com is the website. Sign up for the free newsletter. You got any events coming soon?
I don't, but if you're interested, Kevin got super excited after testing the Thread Eve sensors, and Kevin and I both are like high on Thread, and he's
Eve's
super high
good
on
too. Yeah.
HomeKit.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, good. Oh, that's.
If you're looking for HomeKit sensors, check out Kevin's review.
Is that on the podcast, the IoT podcast, or is it on his website?
Stacey on IoT.
Stacey on IoT.com. Okay, cool. Very cool. At GigaStacey on Twitter. And I'm sorry you're not going to be here next week. I'm glad you're spending time with your lovely daughter. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Aunt Pruitt, the hardhead, father of hardheads. That's his title officially. Twit.tv/hop. And well, you got Mother of Dragons, Father of Hardheads. It just belongs. They belong together.
And the court jester of Queen Pruitt.
There you go. And her court jester. Yeah. Aunt will be on Hands on Photography. What day do you do that show?
Each and every Thursday, sir. Twit.tv/hop. Subscribe right now and tell a friend.
Yeah, and actually, Jason Howell, our producer, and host of All About Android, has his review of the OnePlus 9 coming out tomorrow on Hands on Technology. So that's good. Ant and Jason do a lot of hands-on technology episodes. Jeff Jarvis is the director of the Townite Center for what used to be called Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Thank you, Jeff. Buzzmachine.com at Jeff Jarvis.
Always a pleasure.
Twitter. Former TV Guide critic Sinatra once called him a bum.
I love that.
I do too. He's a bum. I tell you, he's a bum.
Alan Thicke said, when will you stop making me your personal whipping boy?
Oh, if only he had his fantasies. We do this show every Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 20:30 UTC. That's roughly the time the show begins. If you tune in at that time by going to twit.tv/live, there's audio and video streams there live. You know, I might catch some pre-show banter. There's quite a bit of it. In fact,
maybe
this is one of those times where Stacy said, "You're wasting all the good stuff. You're wasting all the good stuff." So that would be something to tune in early to. Oh, that's the Floss Weekly show, by the way, that you should not miss from freedesktop.org.
That was a really, really good chat this morning.
Good. We'll catch that. We are also on the website, twit.tv/twig in this case. You can also join us in the chat room if you're watching live, irc.twit.tv. The YouTube channel is also there for you. Some people prefer YouTube. You can watch the videos there. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcast client. If you do that, please, if the client has reviews, help us out. Give us some stars there. Give us some love. And, of course, we have twit.community for the forums, twit.social for our Twitter Mastodon instance, Twitter-like Mastodon instance, twit.social and twit.community. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next week on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you are interested in checking out all things smart home and Internet of Things, then you should check out Smart Tech Today, the podcast I, Micah Sargent, do with my co-host Matthew Casanelli. It's all about the smart home and improving your automations.